Is he ready?
Good morning and welcome to today's New York City Council for the Committee on Public Housing. At this time, we ask you to silence all electronic devices. At no time is anyone to approach the dais. If you would like to sign up for an in-person testimony or have any questions throughout the hearing, please see one of the Sergeant at Arms in the back of the room. Chair, we're ready to begin.
I'm calling this meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilman Chris Banks, the chair of the Committee on Public Housing, and I'm glad to be joined by my colleagues. Now they'll be here in a few. The extreme weather is now a fact of life, and we must plan to prepare to keep us all safe. For New Yorkers, and especially NYCHA residents, this was particularly evident during Superstorm Sandy, which caused untold devastation in our city and laid the bare, clear need for securing our infrastructure against the efforts of extreme weather. Hundreds of NYCHA developments across the city were impacted by Sandy, causing terrible damage to the homes and livelihoods of NYCHA residents. NYCHA received $3 billion in recovery funds after Superstorm Sandy. But more recent extreme weather events such as Hurricane Ida, Tropical Storm Isaiah have highlighted the need to take proactive measures to ensure the weather resiliency of NYCHA buildings. As such, this committee is interested in hearing about NYCHA's work in the upgrading, repairing its buildings to better prepare future weather events, as well as the work that has been done to recover from the efforts of Superstorm Sandy. We are also interested in learning about the steps being taken to ready NYCHA's residents and buildings for future weather events that are likely to be more frequent, unpredictable, and greater in magnitude due to climate change. This includes NYCHA residents in traditional public housing as well as developments that have been converted to the PAC-RAD program. I'm also intent on hearing about NYCHA's responsiveness in the event of weather-related damages, especially as I have heard many complaints from my constituents on incidents like flood damage, heating outages, going unaddressed for far too long before NYCHA is able to successfully remediate this situation. The hearing will be an important opportunity to take stock of what NYCHA has accomplished thus far in weatherizing its buildings, as well as what more they could be doing now into the future. I look forward to hearing from everyone gathered here today on the various aspects making up this present and pressing issue. I would like to thank my staff, Michael, along with public housing staff, Jose, Karna, Sierra, Dan, Nicholas, Reese, and Charles, for all the work they've put into this hearing. We will first hear from the pre-panel made up of NYCHA residents, and we'll have them come on up. We have Tanya Timmons, and we have Amelia Walden. Yeah, okay. Before you start, let me just read the protocols for testimony. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant of Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out the appearance card with the Sergeant of Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, which is weatherproofing at NYCHA buildings and campuses. And if you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of the testimony to the Sergeant of Arms. You may also email a written testimony to testimony@councilnyc.gov or other email address within the 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. All right. So we're gonna begin with Tanya Timmons, and you may begin.
Yes, good morning. I'm a tenant of, it used to be Linden Houses, now they turned it over to Rad Pack. I'm having issues with them. They did the renovations in our bathrooms, where now they came back in because they never changed the pipes when they renovated. My pipes was cracked up where my tenant, my neighbor down on the 4th floor was getting everybody's water going into her home. Now I'm having an issue because my wall's been open since November the 12th. The neighbor upstairs is not granting them access to change their pipes because they saying the pipes in all the apartments has to be changed. Everyone else agreed except for them on the 6th floor. I've been talking with the people, asking them like what's going on. One day they called me while I was down at NYCHA, telling me, oh, we have to get into your apartment, there's a leak. I said, okay, well, I'm down at NYCHA now. When I finish, I'm coming right home. Oh no, we're gonna call the fire department and break down your door, because this is important. I said, miss, I already know what's going on. My wall been open for 2 weeks already with this leak. So now my thing is with these people, if you told me this, what are y'all doing with this tenant upstairs that is clearly refusing to let y'all in that apartment so they can fix the leaks? I'm still didn't hear anything from them. They keep telling me, oh, we're gonna go and get a court order. This has been going on for almost 2 weeks. My wall's still been open since November the 12th.
Does that conclude your testimony?
Yes.
Just a quick couple of questions. This is in Linden Houses or?
Well, Stanley Avenue. Well,
Stanley
they
Avenue
changed the
Preservation.
name. Stanley Avenue Preservation.
Okay.
Yes.
And have you put in a ticket number? Is there a ticket number put in?
Well, this been an ongoing thing. So I don't even know if it's still a ticket number there because, like I said, this has been happening since November when they went in. Because my neighbor, like I said, her apartment kept getting flooded with all the water coming down from the leaks.
Okay.
You know, so they know that this is still open because I've been dealing with one of the workers there where she been dealing with me far as she said, listen, I don't want to come in during the holidays. So that's why they came the day after Thanksgiving and did this work again. They had to come back. They had to come back and change another pipe. So when that plumber came, he said all the pipes in the whole line got to be changed. They should have changed them when they did the renovations, which they didn't.
Okay. Well, I think the NYCHA reps are here. Hopefully we can get some clarification as to why she's been having a hole in her wall for the last 2 weeks, and I guess this is under a Rad Pack development, and they've been doing nothing. So hopefully we can get some, we can make this tenant happy and address this concern. Any issues with heating?
No, not in my apartment, but
Okay.
in other people's apartments over there, they've been having issues with the heat and the hot water.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Timmons.
Thank you.
Ms. Walden?
Hi, I'm a tenant at Penn Workman, Stanley Avenue Preservation. I have been dealing with them since November or December 23. First, my front door, apartment door, had a gap, and it wasn't closing. 311 HPD came out. Management tried to remedy the door. They couldn't do anything. Now they put the new doors in. Well, HPD had to hire a contractor because Stanley Avenue didn't do anything. Okay, now my door still has a gap. You can see the hallway light, breeze comes in. They want to come and they put a new door up, but the gap is still there, and they want to put weather stripping. So I'm not comfortable with weather stripping. I asked for a new door with the correct measurements. They still refusing. Okay, I've been putting work orders in since 23, and a lot of my work orders still have not been completed. To piggyback, I'm told once you put a work order in, as long as that work order is not completed, you can't submit another ticket. So I think the 3rd of December, I went to the office And what they did was give me a printout of my work orders, but at the bottom, they put the date that I came in. So my work orders, first of all, we would like to know about the slam locks because people are still getting locked out of their apartments. Management said walk with your keys at all times. We explained people have different disabilities, different things. Why should you have to walk with your keys? So they refused to change the slam locks. Last Thursday, all the 16 floors, the electricity went out completely. We was not aware. News 12 came out. Of course, management said that they did notify, but people was not aware because when I left home about 9 o'clock, when I opened my door to leave, I had to use a flashlight to walk down
You
the
get another
stairs.
minute. You may continue.
Okay, this renovation has been a nightmare. They're downsizing the apartments. In my kitchen, they put a false wall which took up my kitchen space. But I finally got on them and they finally removed part of it, but it's still downsized. The riser, they took me to court and they wanted to break my floor for the asbestos and I refused because they did not have the proper equipment. So they took me to court. Finally, they have to break the floor. They have to have the correct equipment. But they made me sign a waiver or something that if I became ill, if it's asbestos, I cannot hold them responsible. So that's something that needs to be addressed. Okay, my closet, they put these pipes in, and I'm afraid if they are doing shoddy work, I hope these pipes don't burst in my living room because these are huge pipes and I will be in trouble. I'm on the top floor. My living room closet, they gave me a little hole in the wall. The agreement between the attorneys was that they would give me a stipend to get a closet, but the case was dismissed last week, and I haven't heard from them. So that's another downsizing of the apartment. And I would like to also stipulate, for any other building, if anyone is hearing impaired, could you please notify HUD that they should put the smoke alarms, the fire alarms up, the detectors up for the hearing impaired? Because like I spoke before, I had to call the fire department and American Red Cross. And it's another development. The person says she have the regular smoke detectors. So that's something that needs to be addressed. And I would also like to note that in my building, people are complaining about their pipes bursting. Management is not doing the repairs like they should. Management said they don't make appointments, but if you don't have an appointment, how are you supposed to know someone is coming out? I have another issue. Because I didn't refuse the riser, I wanted them to have the correct equipment for this asbestos testing. Okay, now, with the riser, could you find out what the reason for this riser is and who does HUD spot check the construction work? Since they're furnishing the payments, who from HUD or who come out and inspect these apartments?
I believe.
Besides the construction people.
I'll let Nitra answer that.
Okay, now in July, because they were supposed to relocate me to an apartment, and at the last minute they told me no. I was in my apartment sleeping, they rang my bell, and since I know they weren't supposed to be coming in, they opened my apartment door. Just as I got up, they used their key to come into my apartment without my permission. So that's another issue I have with them. I was not refusing, but I wanted to cover myself and my family. Do the right thing, and we can get good results.
Let me just ask you a question. This is a Rad Pack development, right? Penn Workman Houses.
Penn Workman's.
Where has Nitra been in this whole conversations you've been having with management over these particular controversies?
Well, they took my voucher away, and I did not know it in February, but they were taking my rent, and at one point when I found out in April, they want to give me my money order receipts back, but I told them no, I already paid my rent, but I didn't even know they were holding it. Management cut off my ticket order at one time, and it's nothing, it's just a nightmare. I went down to NYCHA, and they say they're still waiting for management because they can't do anything until management approve with the voucher. So just because of this court order, I should be getting my voucher back.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony. Any questions from any of the council members? Okay, we've been joined by Councilmember Aviles and Councilmember Mealy.
Aviles and who?
Councilmember Mealy and Councilmember Aviles.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
okay.
You have a question, Councilmember? Yes.
What do you know of their procedure if you're not at home? What is the interpretation of what you think, how they should come into your apartment?
If it's an emergency, I could see. But what happened when they took me to court? The judge said for the attorneys to come to an agreement, but they must have the proper equipment before they break the floors, because they don't know whether it's asbestos there or not. I wasn't refusing, but I wanted to be mindful that I have to protect myself. I could see if it was an emergency, but they had promised me with agreement that I could move to the building 155.
So did they give you a reason why they denied, or they changed their mind moving you to a next building?
They're saying it's not really, they rented the apartment out.
Wait a minute, excuse me?
The relocation apartment, that it was rented out. But no one got back to me until they brought a whole entourage up one day telling me they were gonna relocate. But I said, but the agreement was that I would prefer that other apartment. No one notified me. I had to call to find out what was happening. Then they relocated me to an apartment. The vents in our building is not working at all. Management refused to address that.
So when did, you said April they taken away your Section 8? No one notified you?
No one notified me.
Is
I
that
just saw my
normal?
rent receipt kept reflecting.
While we were excuse me?
I just saw my rent receipt started reflecting back payments. And when I went to the office, and then I was told, at first they didn't know. Then I said, well, call NYCHA and find out. But no one notified me that they were withholding my rent.
So did they help you to apply again for Section 8? Or you had to apply yourself to get back on Section 8?
After the court order, yes.
Thank you.
That court order was a nightmare, anxiety and everything. And like I told him, I'm only trying to find out what's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, now we'll move forward with NYCHA.
Okay.
So if you could all raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions?
Yes.
And if you could all, for the record, identify yourself and your title, that'd be great.
I'm going to do that in testimony, if that's all right.
Perfect. Thank you.
You may begin with your testimonies.
Thank you. Morning.
Good morning.
Chair Banks, members of the Committee on Public Housing, other distinguished members of the City Council, NYCHA residents, community advocates, and members of the public, good morning. I am Keith Grossman, NYCHA's Executive Vice President for Operation Support Services. I am pleased to be joined by Dylan Baker Rice, Deputy Chief Asset and Capital Management Officer, Siobhan Watson, Senior Director for Sustainability And to my left, Jillian Connell, Managing Director of Strategic Operations in the Real Estate Development Department, and other members of NYCHA's team. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss our progress in ensuring that NYCHA developments are adequately prepared for the challenges of the winter season. The health and safety of our residents is our top priority, and we have been working hard over the past several years to provide NYCHA families with comfortable and consistent heat. We are also proud of our efforts to help prepare some of our developments for the future through the latest innovations in sustainability. Heating outages are down and restored quickly. We continue to make progress in reducing the number of heat outages as well as the time it takes to resolve them. As of December 12th, so far this heating season, we are resolving heat outages in an average of 8.5 hours, well below the HUD agreement target of 12 hours. We have also decreased the number of outages by 40%, and no outages have lasted more than 24 hours. This progress is a result of targeted operational investments and improvements to process and management. Our work is guided by our Federal Monitor Approved Action Plan, which outlines the procedures and protocols we follow to prevent and respond to outages. The action plan also details how we communicate with residents about outages and repairs, provide warming centers in certain scenarios, and investigate outages that cannot be restored within 12 hours. We aim to restore heat within an average of 12 hours overall, within 24 hours for 85% of heat outages, and always within 48 hours. As I noted, so far this heating season, we are exceeding these targets. Please keep in mind that an outage pertains to a total disruption of service on an entire apartment line, hallway, building, section of a development, or an entire development. And outages may be planned for scheduled maintenance or unplanned due to unforeseen emergencies. When there are planned outages, NYCHA notifies residents in advance via robocalls and notices posted throughout the development. I would now like to discuss some of the ways we are enhancing heating services while investing in a sustainable future for our properties. Focusing on preparing for the winter season. Our buildings and infrastructure are aging. The majority of our buildings are more than half a century old, and our boilers are 27 years old on average, past the 20 to 25 year expected lifespan for a boiler. For this reason, preventative maintenance is a vital part of our work to ensure consistent heat for residents. Every year, our Heating Management Services Department, HMSD, performs preventative maintenance and inspections to preserve and restore the reliability of nearly 5,000 pieces of heating equipment, including 897 boilers, 1,733 hot water systems, and 1,619 heat distribution systems. This involves inspecting, cleaning, lubricating, adjusting, repairing, and replacing worn components, and ensuring that equipment and mechanical areas are in a satisfactory operating condition. Before this year's heating season began, HMSD and our vendors performed preventative maintenance and made repairs when necessary on 100% of our heating equipment. Due to the large number of assets, NYCHA procured a vendor to conduct preventative maintenance on some of our boilers, allowing NYCHA staff to focus on the hot water and heat distribution systems, which includes circulating pumps, vacuum tanks, and pipes that deliver heat to residents' homes. Every year, we develop and maintain a list of critical heat and hot water equipment and systems that need replacement or extensive repairs, and we procure extra parts so we are prepared when key items fail. NYCHA invested over $43 million in heating infrastructure upgrades at 2 developments since last winter, and an additional $224 million of investment at 8 developments will be completed by the end of the heating season. We also maintain a reserve of staged and non-staged boilers that can be activated in the event of a large-scale heating service disruption. 13 mobile boilers are currently connected to developments, and 8 more can be deployed if needed. And we increase after-hour staffing coverage ahead of the heating season, adding evening plumbing and electrical teams that can be deployed in response to outages, and additionally, an overnight, midnight to 8 plumbing team is added when temperatures drop below freezing. Transforming the way we operate. We hired 70 additional frontline heating staff to support the reorganization of HMSD into the neighborhood model as part of our transformation plan's organizational reforms. This involved reorganizing our coverage of developments from 13 clusters into 28 neighborhoods. Smaller portfolios enable staff to better understand the unique needs and challenges of each heat and hot water system in their neighborhood. It better distributes work orders and resources, fosters greater collaboration among stakeholders, and brings the crucial decision-making which occurs during an outage closer to the root of the issue. We also established a data analytics unit that uses key performance indicators to identify and track where we need to improve. A planning and skilled trades unit addresses patterns of heat complaints and service disruptions before and during the heating season. HMSD's special teams, composed of highly experienced heating staff, address the more complex issues that arise and perform preventative maintenance and repairs. And we assigned additional managerial employees to the evening heat desk operations, streamlining decision-making for issues that arise after traditional business hours and during weekends and holidays. The heat desk is a 24/7 operation which monitors potential service disruptions from various data and dispatches staff accordingly. Our repair teams also operate on a 24/7 basis, and to support these roving repair teams, we established an after-hours field supervision schedule and skilled trades coverage. Enhanced staff training is another way that we are improving the way we operate. NYCHA revamped its heating plant technician, or HPT, curriculum to include new heating assets installed with an enhanced focus on preventative maintenance. Additionally, we created a direct-to-training model with mentorship, where new HPTs go directly into training to learn in a low-stress environment prior to working on heating equipment at a development. Once assigned to a property, they are paired with veteran heating staff who provide real-life hands-on training. These changes are increasing accountability and oversight and efficiency, and the NYCHA community is benefiting from faster resolution of issues thanks to the more hands-on management of our heating assets. We also enhance the way we communicate with residents. We make sure residents know about outages through flyers, robocalls, our website, social media, and My NYCHA alerts. Residents can, so that we can address any lingering issues. Residents can automatically let us know if they're still experiencing a service disruption when they receive a service restoration call. When residents submit heat complaints via My NYCHA or the Customer Service Contact Center, or CCC, we ask additional triage questions that enable us to deploy repair staff most efficiently. I do want to note that we can most effectively identify and respond to issues when residents report concerns via My NYCHA or the CCC. Moving to major investments in heating. NYCHA modernized heating controls at 51 developments, which involves installing a building management system and apartment temperature sensors. Apartments that were typically too hot are now at a more comfortable range of 72 to 74 degrees during the day and 69 to 71 degrees at night, with the heat coming on in cycles to prevent overheating and underheating and to reduce energy costs. We can also monitor building temperatures and heating and hot water systems in real time at these developments, enabling us to respond to issues faster. Although our heating infrastructure is extensive and our capital needs are enormous, nearly $13 billion for heating systems portfolio-wide, we are working to execute on the funding we have to address some of the major investment needs. Through 2026, we are replacing 500 boilers through capital work and PACT conversions. 297 boilers will be replaced through capital project across 76 developments, thanks to $3.4 billion in city, state, and federal funding. Since 2019, we've replaced 134 boilers through capital projects and addressed 237 boilers through our PACT partnerships. Another 278 boilers have been converted through PACT and are under construction. Thanks to Hurricane Sandy recovery funding, 20 developments are receiving new heating and hot water systems housed in elevated and flood-proof structures. We're not just replacing in kind, but are putting in place more effective systems. For example, to improve hot water service, we are incorporating modern designs in our new heating plants, decoupling hot water from space heating equipment so that issues with one do not impact the other, and upgrading buildings-based equipment. In accordance with our sustainability agenda, we are moving away from steam-generating heat and hot water systems when possible by deploying geothermal energy and electric heat pumps, and improving building envelopes through window replacements, advancements that help reduce outages, enhance system performance, benefit the environment, and keep residents safe and comfortable. Through the Clean Heat for All Challenge, a collaboration between NYCHA, the New York Power Authority, and the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. An initial $70 million investment will lead to the development and production of 30,000 new heat pumps for NYCHA residents. The families who are already benefiting from them at Woodside houses report that they are working well, and this environmentally friendly, easily installable technology will provide reliable heating and cooling for thousands of residents ultimately. We invested about $341 million in energy performance contracts, replacing boilers and modernizing heating systems at 70 developments. And nearly $26 million of weatherization upgrades are completed or in construction. We are also taking advantage of a direct install program where local vendors funded by local utilities repair and replace apartment radiator valves and traps at no cost to NYCHA. This improves steam distribution and residents' comfort. While we're pursuing all possible funding sources and investing that limited funding as wisely as possible, the reality is that there is simply not enough funding to address all the needs across the portfolio. That is why we are implementing bold and innovative strategies such as PACT and the Trust that will provide residents with dramatically improved quality of life through comprehensive building renovations, including fully upgraded heating systems. Improving residents' quality of life by improving the way we operate and investing strategically in the future with the limited funding available, we are strengthening the authority while delivering better services for residents. The challenges at NYCHA are significant, but they are not insurmountable. In fact, we are demonstrating that through partnership we can achieve great change. While there is still much work to be done, we appreciate the support of our stakeholders, including members of the council, which is enabling us to be a better landlord for the NYCHA families we serve and improve their quality of life. Thank you. We are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for your statement. I guess we'll just dive right in. You know, boiler repairs and replacement at the NYCHA developments obviously is a hot topic, and obviously with the with the temperatures dropping over the last couple of weeks, we know that the last 2 years we obviously haven't had traditional winter cycles, and we know now that the systems are being tested. As we are now in this heating system, I would like to start with some of the updates on the heating improvements that have been made across NYCHA. And can you tell me what progress has been made when it comes to boiler replacements as of today?
I'll start. Thank you, Chair. To date, we have completed 134 boilers through our capital construction cycle, which is on track to exceed our goal for this year of 133. There's another 3 that we're working on to finish out where the construction has been completed and we're testing. We project that we'll complete another 103 by the end of 25 and another 60 by the end of 26, so that we hit our target of 297 boilers by the end of 26, which is the overall HUD target.
Traditionally, how many boilers are at a particular development? Like, say, for instance, the Pink houses. How many boilers operates to provide heat to the residents?
What you said, Pink?
Pink, like Pink houses. I know
Yes,
that they're
I mean, so
going
it
through.
varies, right, at every development. I'll get back to you on the exact number of boilers at Pink. But it varies development by development, right? There's a formula that we use when we're designing and installing the boilers that says, you know, we need this many boilers to provide this amount of steam pressure to this many apartments, and it's geographically diverse and based. So we may have a development that has 6, we may have one that only requires 2 to provide heat. Additionally, you know, we'll have decoupled hot water resources, so maybe each building has its own hot water supply or a separate boiler that does hot water for the property. So it really does vary, but I'd say, you know, 3 to 4 is probably a reasonable number to see as an average. There are some with 8, there are some with 1.
Well, when the replacements are taking place, are they just removing all of the old boilers, or are they piecemealing it?
So, as my colleague Keith said, there's sort of 2 approaches. One is where we wholesale replace the boiler.
Okay.
And that's if we're keeping the steam system in place.
Right.
Another avenue is that we decouple, which means that we remove the capacity of the domestic hot water. So a boiler is not providing space heating and domestic hot water. In that case, we can reduce the size of the boiler and deploy domestic hot water solutions at different buildings. And so that'll allow us redundancy between the two systems and less strain on the overall boiler.
What is NYCHA's preparedness plan for the heat season, and have you completed a preventative maintenance for this heat season?
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. So our preparedness plan, really, our preparedness for the heating season starts while the previous heating season is ongoing, right? As I said, we have almost 5,000 assets,
Right.
Which is a significant amount to cover in between that May 31st to October 1st timeline. So what we do is we starting in February, we will start doing hot water systems where possible to take them down. Obviously, if it's excessively cold in February, we'll start in March. Additionally, throughout the heating season, boilers will come down for maintenance. As I said, a significant number of our properties have multiple boilers. So when one is down for maintenance, we're able to do not only the repair, but also the preventative maintenance. That's before the heating season even ends. As we get days where we're not providing heat towards the end, we'll start to take boilers down and do the maintenance cycle there. We also bring on a vendor to help us at developments with troubled distribution systems so that they can focus on the boiler maintenance and our staff can work on the distribution systems from the apartment all the way back to the boiler, from the boiler to the apartment and the apartment back to the boiler. Those maintenance and repair cycles lead to some repairs, and our goal is to complete those and have enough boilers online to provide heat at 32 degrees on October 1st. We have accomplished that goal in at least the last 2 years, and as I said, at this point, all of our repairs required to have proper functioning heat as a result of that preventative maintenance process have been completed. Obviously, throughout the heating season, we have some issues, but.
Well, to date, how many heating outages has taken place?
Yeah. So this year, as of December 12th, 2024, NYCHA has resolved 93 heat outages. Comparing that to the same time frame last year, we were at 156. So that's a 40% reduction.
With the 93 heating outages, the preparedness plan that you just spoke about, was that preparedness plan, were these developments part of that plan?
100% of assets, all developments were. As I said,
So
go ahead, please.
what caused the heating to be interrupted?
So there's any number of issues, right? As I said, our infrastructure is in many cases, past its useful life. So just because we perform maintenance, when we put the system under pressure, a leak may happen, or there may be some external cause. For example, if there's a power loss or if there's a loss of steam from a utility, that may cause an outage as well.
Well, can you give me a more in-depth look of how this plan, how does it look step by step when you're testing the system?
Yeah, absolutely. So each boiler the doors are open. We check the heat, the hot water side of the boiler, right? The part that produces steam where there's water, and the heat side, the part that heats up the water, right? So essentially, the majority of boilers are, producing steam. There are some boilers that are hydronic systems that heat water. That water travels through the property at about 180 degrees and radiates the room through steam heat. So regardless of that, we open up the boiler, we check all of the components, all of the mechanical pieces throughout the property, and we'll replace anything that's broken, repair anything that's leaking, lubricate anything that needs to be lubricated, make sure all the gauges work, and then we will close up the system, like close up the actual boilers, those large doors on the front, make sure that there's a proper seal, the gaskets are all replaced, start filling the boiler to make sure that there's enough water to produce steam, and we will then do what's called a hydro test, right? We test the water to make sure that there's no leaks. Once that's completed, the boiler is ready to go back in service. Prior to that hydro test, which is a pressure test of the vessel, there's a supervisory inspection. So our supervisors go out and inspect the work that was done to make sure it was satisfactory. If it's not, or there's another repair needed, we will do that. We will work on that asset until it is 100% ready to go.
When it gets to the apartment, what role does the apartment play in the actual testing that's taking place? The valves in the
Radiator valve.
the radiators. Is that also tested too? Are residents made aware of this testing that is taking place when it takes place?
So in certain systems, like hydronic systems that I mentioned, where there is water flowing throughout the building, we will notify residents ahead of time, and we will put some pressure on the system leading up to the heating season to do leak checks. Hydronic systems are older. They're typically running on the exterior wall, and they're exposed to cold. Just going back to the aging infrastructure question, if they're not well insulated, or maybe it's a vacant unit, there may be some cold air exposing, hitting that heating pipe. So in those instances, we do. At our problem developments, at our problem systems, we do that as well. And we'll apply pressure to the system and leave, maybe like 2 or 3 pounds just to start looking for leaks. I'll also say that as far as resident apartments, right, we view all of our data very specifically, right? So we look at the entire development outages as it affects the boiler plant and the heating system. And we also look at resident complaint data annually. So we'll take that resident complaint data and we'll look at the property or the development that has the most number of complaints.
Right.
And we'll address those in-unit complaints. So we will have a team. We have a team called the Steam Optimization Squad, or SOS. They will go around and do a lot of that maintenance. We'll coordinate with the residents. We actually schedule it, when the resident's home. If they work during the day, we'll come a little bit in the evening. If they work at night, we'll try to come a little bit later in the afternoon so we don't wake them too much. But they're really in and out. It's about 15 minutes. They check the property, they check the apartment and all of the radiators and the elements, assuming nothing's wrong. So we look at the entirety of the heating system, from the boiler to the apartment, and honestly back.
Okay. Residents have raised concerns about the temporary boilers, including that they're not being removed in time and that they cause air quality problems. How does NYCHA track and remediate these issues related to the temporary boilers?
Thank you, Chair. So those mobile boilers or temporary boilers can be installed for any number of reasons. Any number of reasons. So some are installed as part of a capital project or improvement, right? So if we're doing a full plant replacement, as Dylan said, I mentioned earlier, we will attach a mobile boiler to that property. It's typically supplied by the gas utility. That will provide heat while we're dismantling, removing, and rebuilding a new boiler. The other piece is if we have a boiler room that is aging and waiting for a replacement or in need of a major capital repair, and it's not able to produce the proper amount of pressure, we'll add a mobile boiler to increase the horsepower of that steam pressure going out into the property. So that's the other reason to do it.
Right. How many developments now are operating off of a temporary boiler system?
So in the operations portfolio, we have 13 deployed. Do you have the number on the capital projects?
Yeah, on the capital side, we have 52. And to your question before, Chair, for all the 52 that we have on the capital side, they are natural gas. So we've switched over to natural gas for the concerns with oil.
And how many of those particular developments that have temporary boilers were they also part of the preparedness plan, or were there tests that were done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Short answer is yes. Every year, every asset goes through some sort of preventative maintenance. It's like a car tune-up, right? You take it in every 3 months. So It's the same thing. All the assets, they get pressure tested. They do a flame analyzation on it to make sure that we're not producing excess soot into the atmosphere. And honestly, prior to installation, we have to install a stack to ensure that it blows away from the building in accordance with DOB standards.
You mentioned that let me go back up. How many of the new boilers are gas fired?
Chair, we'll have to get back to you with the exact number for gas fired. Generally, when we're decoupling, we're switching to gas. In any replacements, we're either looking at dual fuel, so gas is preferred,
Right.
with an oil backup, and that's for redundancy's sake in case there is an outage.
And what are the renewable sources of heating that you're looking at, or energy that you're looking at?
Yeah, I'll pass it to my colleague, Siobhan, to talk about
Sure.
electrification.
Yeah. So we have been looking at pathways to remove fossil fuel use from NYCHA's buildings in accordance with our local law 97 obligations, as well as state and broader goals to meet greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets. So we have developed a Clean Heat for All challenge, as Keith mentioned earlier, that has resulted in the production of heat pump units that are a scalable solution for NYCHA. So existing technology to electrify buildings actually involves a lot of retrofit work that turns it into a very expensive project. The Clean Heat for All Challenge, in collaboration with NYPA and NYSERDA, encouraged manufacturers to develop a unit that could more easily be installed at NYCHA. So we have been piloting those units over the past year at Woodside Houses. We have 24 apartments that have been running solely on heat pumps, and the results have been great from the pilot. Residents are really satisfied with them, and one of the benefits of using a heat pump unit is actually providing individual control over the temperature to residents. So that is one of the major benefits of electrification, is that residents are able to control the temperature and maintain what is comfortable to them in their apartment. In addition to that unit, we have a couple of other buildings that we've electrified using existing products, or prior existing products. One is at 830 Amsterdam, where the whole building is operating on a VRF system. And then the other is at Hoe Avenue in the Bronx, where we're using APOCA units that made use of pre-existing AC sleeves to be able to install those before the Clean Heat for All units were ready.
Thank you.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, so together we have 8 developments where we're electrifying the space heating, and then another 13 developments where we're electrifying domestic hot water.
Before we proceed with questions, let me just recognize Councilmember Bottcher and Councilmember Salamanca, who's virtual, and now joined with us Councilman Chiose. You have mentioned that there are new building management systems that are being implemented at NYCHA developments. Can you go into more detail on the progress of these building management systems and how they work, and how the new system affect residents?
Sure. So building management systems exist in order to fine-tune the amount of steam being provided to apartments. They operate using indoor apartment sensors that our operations department is able to actually see remotely the temperatures in particular lines of apartments, and then the building management system adjusts the amount of steam being provided based on the feedback of the apartments.
Hold on a minute. So the sensors are in different parts of the building? Are they in every apartment, or are they strategically placed throughout the development?
They're not in every apartment. They're placed in about 30% of apartments.
Okay.
In order to give a view of each line of apartments and how the temperature is
So
being
are they-
maintained from in the different floors.
Are they higher up, or are they placed at the lower levels?
Generally, they're distributed where they're sort of high, medium, and low within the apartment line. So we'll have, you know, if there's 10 floors, there may be one on 10, 5, and first floor, something like that. It depends on the exact building, but it'll be a distribution of apartments to give our operations team a view of the line as a whole.
How is NYCHA working to improve the time it takes to perform general repairs at its buildings, and how are current repair requests handled?
Yeah, so obviously our goal is to, as we talked extensively about the preventative maintenance program, our goal is to limit those repairs as much as humanly possible. That being said, again, I'll go back to the old infrastructure adage, right, where our infrastructure is very old and takes time to repair. So I think we're addressing it in two ways. I'll just take the general, you know, the day-to-day operational response, and then I'll pass it to Dylan, and we can talk about some of our capital focus on those major repairs and how we look at that. You know, on a day-to-day basis, right, if we got a ticket, we are doing our best to get to those individual heat complaints within 24 hours, right, per law. We will go to the apartment, we will inspect the heating equipment, we will ensure that the element is working, we'll go all the way down to the basement, you know, I'm sorry, the convector is functioning and providing steam, we'll go down to the basement, we'll check the equipment, go to the boiler room, come back, and we're taking multiple temperature checks throughout that time to make sure we're not dropping below that. And that's just on a day-to-day repair.
What's the actual time frame that it takes when a repair comes in or a tenant complains about not having heat? What is the response time?
Sure. So there's two different, again, I just want to clarify, you're talking about in-unit complaints as compared to an outage, which is multiple complaints.
Obviously, it will be multiple complaints if it's an outage, right?
So our outage time frame is we're restoring in 8.5 hours currently. And for a general in-unit complaint, we're about 24 hours on average, a little below 24 hours on an in-unit complaint on average. That's not including a complaint associated with an outage.
So in the meantime, if there's an outage on a particular line, what's put in place to provide heat to those tenants while the heating is out? Is there any, what's put in place?
No, sure, that's a great question.
Or do they just suffer without heat?
I'll take you through that process for sure. Thank you, Chair. So thank you for clarifying the question as well. So what will happen is we will get there on arrival, right? We'll see that ticket count. You've been to our heat desk in Long Island City, right? We'll see that ticket count start to rise. We'll send a team to investigate. We'll find out we'll troubleshoot, find out what the problem is, and simultaneously that administrative unit is creating an outage, which does a couple of things, right? It notifies our residents via robocall. It posts that on our website and allows folks to be able to see that there is an outage and understand that there is an outage. On arrival, we'll check the equipment. We'll also respond to a couple of the apartments, at least 3 of the apartments in that building or throughout the property, to see what the temperatures are, right? Our buildings, although they're old and have some infrastructure issues, they do hold heat fairly well. So we very rarely have an instance, even on a prolonged outage, that we're dropping into an uncomfortable territory or an unsafe territory or an illegal territory of below 68 degrees. That's, I think in the past 3 years, I can only think of one instance, and that was prolonged. If the outage starts to approach the 6-hour mark, we will have administrators, managers, and troubleshooters, special teams I spoke about, start to respond to that property, to evaluate, see what's going on, if we need any additional equipment, if it's not quickly resolved. If it starts to approach that 12-hour mark, that's when we start talking about warming centers and warming buses, and we'll work with our partners at the MTA or Aging or DOE or DYCD to start to bring those up and online. Each, as part of our heat action plans, each development has its own warming center assigned, and we also have warming buses. And that's only in an excessive period of time.
Your response is very interesting because I've dealt with situations in NYCHA buildings when there has been a heat outage, and if it started on Friday, management was gone, and tenants were kind of left to deal with things on their own. Wait until management then to deal with the situation on the Monday. So I wanted to know, in those situations, is emergency services, are they proactive in trying to get the heat back on for these residents?
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. That is the name of our game, proactivity on the after hours.
Well, we just need to see it on the ground
Yeah,
level, because that's
absolutely.
not. Yeah.
Understood.
You eloquently state what the response is, but it's not being seen by the residents on the ground level. So
Yeah,
hopefully it can trickle down.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry to hear that. If you have any specific instances, we can absolutely follow up. As I said, there's a 24/7 heat desk, emergency services unit there to take calls. Obviously, if a resident just because the management office is closed doesn't mean a resident can't put in a ticket. The CCC also takes calls, and as does the My NYCHA app 24/7. So we are open for business. We are always looking at those things, especially for heating and especially during heating season. So like I said, if there's any instances, please, we can speak offline. I'm happy to follow up on those specific instances.
All right, I'll definitely get you those specifics. And I'll do two more questions, and then I'm going to open the floor up for my colleagues to ask questions. What is NYCHA's process for collecting and maintaining data on these problems at the unit level, such as tracking the frequency and the length of heating outages in individual apartments?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do again, just in-unit heating failures or complaints, right? We do track those separately from outages, which are a building line, building section of development, or the entire development. So as we do look at those separately, if a resident calls more than 2 or 3 times and we have repetitious calls from that resident, we established a resident outreach team in heating that actually proactively reaches out to the resident rather than waiting for the resident to call. And we start to try to understand why those tickets are being put in. Maybe it's the convector is working, but maybe there's a draft issue that's not necessarily related to the heating system. So we will work with that resident to ensure that the apartment has a good envelope and the heating system is working, right? Maybe it was just an element or something that needed to be changed. So whatever it may be, we will work through with that resident. So if they call more than 2 or 3 times in a period of time, I believe it's a week or 2, we will proactively reach out to them, schedule an appointment for an apartment visit, and work through their issue with them.
Okay. And last question before I open the floor up. What special attention is paid to the 55 NYCHA buildings? Because we constantly get calls about the lack of heat in the senior buildings. What special attention is paid? Because obviously seniors require much more heat. So what special attention is played, and is there a special plan for those 55 developments?
Thank you, Councilmember. So our goal is always to not have a heat outage, of course, but when we do, it's to restore heat and to maintain heat at proper levels. We understand that we have limited resources and limited number of staff, especially on the off hours. So when there is a major outage at a property, we will respond to that property. It's regardless of age. All of our residents get the same special attention and care.
Again, what special attention is paid to the 55 senior developments? I get it that I heard your comment, but I want to know exactly, is there a special attention paid to those particular senior developments?
We respond to all residents' heating complaints. If a senior resident is cold, or we're seeing an insufficient heating issue in a senior building, we may open valves a little bit to provide additional heat.
Right.
But all residents are treated equally, and we try to reduce outages and maintain heat across Process Authority.
Thank you. Now I'll open the floor up to my colleagues. Councilmember Mealy.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, you say all the repairs that you have done, that's about 27 million? How much longer or how much more money you have from Superstorm Sandy left?
How much money is left? Well, we've
Could
committed.
it finish these projects?
Yeah, we have 8 projects left to complete.
8?
Yeah, from Superstorm Sandy. From the original funding, we received 3.3 billion, and we've committed the majority of that funding. So we're working with vendors, and most of the construction will close out by next year, with one project projected to go into 26.
Okay, then, with, the young lady had just said that she was taken off Section 8. Do y'all have any data that can tell us how many people accidentally get off Section 8 and not informed? I just wanted to see if one of y'all was.
So I think that was a question that came up at on one of our PACT sites, and NYCHA is the administrator. I am interested in following up with that resident for additional details to hear more about her Section 8 voucher specifically, and so that we can connect her with someone in our leased housing team to get the support that she needs.
Okay, because that's the easy way to get our tenants out, when, especially if they older adults. And please follow up with that. And you said that 93 of the heating outage was taken care of? 93.
Yeah, so year to date from October 1st to December 12th, actually, we had 93 heating outages.
Do you still have any outages?
Do we have any outages currently?
Right now?
I can follow up with you in 2 seconds.
Because y'all say y'all have a list, and I know Van Dyke 2 been almost out a year. One whole line. And I was just there Saturday, and they said it's still out. So what is y'all, where's y'all quick response?
I'm sorry, which property was that?
Van Dyke 2
Van Dyke 2?
in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Yeah, and again, Van Dyke 2 is not a current outage for us, so we may or may not be seeing issues. If you have
The whole line is still out almost a whole year.
No, absolutely. So again, resident.
Just there Friday.
I understand that. Yeah, resident complaints and in-apartment issues versus outages. I just want to clarify again that it's within an apartment. Those are handled
Outages, that
differently than
mean
an entire
they getting a
building
heater,
lot.
they don't have heat.
Okay.
So I would love to follow up with that. And I'm loving you saying 8.5 hours or 48 hours, an outage would be taken care of.
Oh, we haven't done it.
I have Van Dyke 2 been out for months.
Yeah, and absolutely,
Love to
we're gonna follow up with you after that hearing, after the
So
hearing.
when
and
y'all get the new boilers, I gotta hurry up. When y'all get the new boilers, are y'all putting anything in place for Legionnaires disease? Since we did have an outbreak in Brownsville?
Yeah,
Are testing the pipes for that? Or the running the water in regards to that? Any testing whatsoever?
so we have an office of water quality, and we'll work with them to ensure that we are providing the correct temperature
Are you
in
in
our heating.
collaboration with the health department?
Yeah, absolutely, of course, yeah. So our Office of Water Quality is the liaison between those two, between the health department, and we work to ensure that we're providing the appropriate temperature in our hot water infrastructure to reduce the occurrence of Legionnaires. So we will ensure that new equipment is heating the water to the appropriate temperature to limit that.
Okay, so I can follow up with the health department to make sure that y'all in collaboration. Okay, thank you. And I just got 2 more questions. How do you notify NYCHA tenants when carrying out projects at NYCHA developments? Do tenants have to say, and do the tenants have a say in how upgrades or renovations get implemented in their buildings or in their apartment? Like the young lady just said, she wanted to make sure they had the right asbestos equipment, but you still came into an apartment. So how are you communicating with the tenants in regards to coming into their apartments?
Well, I can speak to if we're replacing a boiler, if we have a larger heating plant project.
But this is PAC, right?
Yeah, I can't speak to that. Oh, my colleague can.
Sure. So in general, residents are notified of work being done in a couple of different ways depending on the work that's occurring, whether it's in the unit or if it's happening to something like
In unit, we just had a testimony. In unit, they wanted to come in and change the system. And she wasn't ready, but y'all still came in.
Yeah, so the typical process is they should be scheduling an appointment and informing the resident in
Who
advance.
should be scheduling it?
So-
She said that she didn't want the scheduled appointment because she wanted to make sure that they had the right equipment, that it shouldn't have to be double or triple times coming to an apartment. But then somebody dropped the ball. Y'all still came, and without her even knowing, and using your own key. How often does that happen?
Yeah, so we can follow up with the PAC partner to get more
You
information
just
about.
answer that question. How often do that happen? You still come into the apartment?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question. I'm sorry. Can you repeat it?
You were here when the young lady said
Yeah.
that she was sleeping and she thought that she told them that she wanted to make sure the equipment was appropriate with asbestos, and I guess somebody didn't get the call or get the memo, and they still came to the apartment. And then when she didn't respond, your staff just came in with their key.
Yeah, so, no, understandable. We would have to look into.
No, were you not?
No, I was sitting in the audience, so and I appreciate you holding us accountable. But I don't know, I don't have the answer for that in front of me. We're happy to look into it. We will definitely look into this specific case. And
Is anyone tracking these incidents?
is anybody tracking when we enter, when we use our
Yes.
right to enter?
Yes, that's for safety also.
Yeah, I mean, we have a protocol in place, and we can follow up with you after to go through that protocol. We're happy to do that.
Everyone hear the protocol?
As I said, I don't have it in front of me. I just want to make sure that it's right
Okay.
when we get
How
to it.
do you verify whether tenants receive your messages? The same thing, how do you verify that they receive the message if they do not want you to come into their apartment? In a PAC development.
Sure. So typically they attempt to use multiple modes of communication to inform a resident. So it could be something like a letter. It could also be a phone call or a door knock.
How do you confirm or verify that they receive your message?
So that would be the PAC partner's responsibility to ensure that they have scheduled the appointment with the confirmation of the resident before they do the work.
And could you name one vendor that you're in collaboration with instead of DEP? Or the health department?
So are you referring to, there's various city agencies that have oversight, including DOB, DEP, at sites inspecting work that's being done.
You say we are also taking advantage of direct installation programs where local vendors funded by local utility repairs and replace apartment radiator valves and traps at no cost to NYCHA. This improves system distribution and residents' comfort. What vendor? Just name one and I'm done.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So those would be direct programs with the utilities. So Con Ed, National Grid, working directly with
So
them.
they do it for free?
There are certain programs that Keith referred to where they are doing direct installation of some of the improvements.
Excuse me?
There are certain programs with the utilities where they are providing direct service to the developments in order to make those upgrades.
Are you using any local vendors?
So I would,
Also?
yeah, I understand the part. Yeah, so I think Con Ed or the utility provider whoever the utility provider is
already
in
in
this
the
case,
mix.
they should absolutely have a local vendor in the mix. But we would refer you to them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Mealy. Councilmember Chiose.
Thank you so much, Chair, and good morning. I definitely wanted to ask a question around climate change and how that takes a toll on some of our NYCHA developments. You know, as we see that it gets worse, we are seeing more extreme weather in New York City. Like I would always like to reference that storm that we saw, not this past September, but 2 Septembers ago. And it really shined a light on how our infrastructure is not well equipped to respond to these changes. And of course, NYCHA is no exception. In my office, I represent Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights. I get a number of calls every week from constituents concerned about decrepit and shoddy conditions in their apartments, as well as our NYCHA developments, including mold, broken elevators, lack of heat. And every time I come to these hearings, I do hear the same thing from NYCHA in terms of, you know, we are working on it, but we don't have the funding. You know, as weather gets worse in New York, my constituents and other public housing residents can't wait. You know, some of these repairs are needed in the immediacy. Can we get a specific time frame of when NYCHA will make these repairs to fortify the developments for extreme weather? Is there a climate change or upgraded infrastructure timeline that NYCHA has that the council can reference when coming to some of these future hearings?
Thank you for the question, and definitely agree with you that climate change makes the need to upgrade our systems much more pressing. So we do have a number of programs that are active that are working to fortify our developments. The biggest, of course, is our Sandy Recovery and Resilience Program that has made over $3 billion of investments in those developments impacted by Sandy. But as you referenced, we've also been experiencing impacts of extreme rain, particularly as a result of Tropical Storm Ida and then the extreme rains after Ophelia that came over a year ago. So our program to manage the impacts of Tropical Storm Ida is a disaster recovery program that we are still in active negotiation with FEMA to finalize the awards to do that repair and mitigation. We're hopeful that those awards will be finalized in the first half of 2025 for the 13 developments that had significant damage due to Ida. In addition to FEMA funding that we are actively applying for, the city's Office of Management and Budget is managing HUD's CDBG-DR funding related to Ida, and a number of programs have been funded through that allocation as well. So among those include a local match that's required for FEMA funds, some additional dollars to deal with unmet mitigation needs as part of the heavily affected developments. And then we also secured $51 million to manage extreme rain at Hope and Bushwick Gardens, which are two developments that were already in the PACT program that began experiencing extreme rain. And so there's active construction at Hope and Bushwick Gardens to elevate boilers and protect them from extreme rain.
I think that's definitely helpful. I think obviously this is on record, and I really do appreciate how there's at least somewhat of an idea of a time frame of when some of that money will be secured from FEMA. I think what would be helpful for us as members of the council, just in terms of communication with our constituents, is it's great to hear that now, but if we can get like updates from NYCHA regularly on when this funding is coming down the pipeline, you know, consistent communication just allows us to do a better job, both of us to do a better job, just so that when we come into these hearings, we're not saying NYCHA's not doing anything. You know, we can go back to our constituents and give them a better time frame of when this money is being brought down from the federal government. And in addition to that, I think it's always helpful for us to have a tool of receiving maybe like a specific chart of funding that's being used to fund these specific projects, right? So not only a timeline of when this funding is secured, but where that money is exactly going towards. And I'm hearing that from you, of course, in terms of, you know, Hope Gardens and whatnot. But I think just having a proper idea of which developments are getting this funding, where that funding is coming from, as well as when that funding will be secured, would just be a helpful tool for me as a member. I won't speak for everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to provide updates and kind of create a table that shows the various resiliency funding streams and the developments that are recipients of it. So we can absolutely follow up with that.
Terrific.
So we can follow up on specifics on the resiliency work. Also, just in the name of transparency, we do have a public capital projects tracker. And we'll send you the link to that separately
Awesome.
after the hearing.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to just put one more assignment on your table, and if any other member wants this on this committee, but in any way that you can curtail it to the developments that I have within my community, whether it's you just following up with my office on, where some of those projects maybe line up, would be something that I would really appreciate.
Marcy Tompkins? Right?
Marcy Tompkins.
Lafayette?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll follow up with your office on them. And then, as my colleague Keith said, in the interest of transparency, we maintain a tracker online, so that has
Oh, really?
all the capital
Okay. I
projects.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so we'll send that to you so you can
Okay.
look and see current updates. And so that's the best port of call to see what projects and what the status is.
You can filter it by council district.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Made some
Even just
improvements for you.
just a reminder
Yeah.
of that tool is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna share the link with you all after this. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I will say the ones where we haven't secured the funding may not be on there yet, so if there's
Sure.
anything you have a question
course.
about, we'll fill you in on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We look forward to that information. Thank you. I want to move on to weatherization and resiliency at the RAD PAC developments. How does NYCHA ensure that the PAC developments are brought into line with NYCHA's overarching climate and weatherization goals?
Yeah, so at Pact RAD developments, they are held to the same local law standards like Local Law 84, Local Law 33, and are focused on improving overall buildings' energy performance. And so the capital improvements that go into these buildings, when each of them start, involve things like overhaul to the heating systems and replacement of heating systems, but it also includes things like facade replacements or upgrades, things like the EFIS panels to help make the buildings more airtight. It includes things like window replacements, again, to help prevent cold air from getting in and hot air from getting out, and things like roof replacements.
When you say facade improvements, there was a facade improvement that was, or complete change done in Linden houses. That facade improvement actually, I believe that was one of the only developments, RAD PAC developments that received a facade improvement or a complete change.
No, we have multiple other PACT projects across the city that are receiving those EFIS panels
Okay.
that are being installed they specifically help improve the building envelope and that improve the building's energy performance.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, how does NYCHA handle cases where NYCHA developments transition to private management during the ongoing weatherization upgrades or other resiliency work?
Right, so I was just speaking to some of the capital improvements that the PACT partner commences immediately after closing, which you're well aware of, but there are other resiliency initiatives that can occur. Siobhan was also talking about at Hope Gardens, Bushwick Gardens, which was after the construction was complete, additional CDBG DR funds were deployed to the tune of $50 million to elevate the boilers, which had been in the basements, to above ground structures.
The responsibilities, how's that divided from between NYCHA and the private management?
Yeah, so after the closing, the responsibility is the property manager and the PAC partners.
Oh, okay, so you said that it's completely the PAC managers?
PAC partners responsible, yes.
So what role does NYCHA play?
So we continue to maintain oversight over a number of different areas that our PAC partners.
Okay,
Our PAC partners.
You seen my face on the oversight piece. You said that you continue to provide what? I just want to make sure I get that in
some
record.
oversight. For example,
What type of oversight do you provide over the RAD PACs?
So we
Give me specific scenarios where controversies have arisen and NYCHA has interceded.
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, we, for example, collect information about work orders from our PACT partners on a regular basis, and we monitor them and look for trends and have conversations with them on a near daily basis about those.
Let me ask you this question. Are you familiar with Linden Houses?
I am familiar with Linden
Okay,
Houses.
CNC Management?
Familiar with CNC management.
Are you aware that they just recently put in a system where the residents, once they put in a repair, that they get a confirmation number?
I believe that they should be getting confirmation numbers at Linden, yes.
No, I said, are you aware that they've recently put in place, they've been managing the development for maybe the last 4 years? They've taken over the development for the last 4 years. Residents have been complaining that they have not had they weren't getting a confirmation number or some type of work order number when they put in work order complaints or repairs. It was brought to my attention recently, a month ago, at a TA meeting, that there was no confirmation number being given to the residents when repairs were put in or complaints were put in, and management admitted that there was no a number or a confirmation number being given. Were you aware of that? And what type of oversight were you providing that led to that 2-year or 3-year gap where this level of incompetence existed?
So if they're not providing a work order specifically to the resident, they're absolutely tracking it by unit number and address. So we can follow up with the
Well, let
resident.
me say this. When it was under Section 9, every repair got a confirmation number or some type of number, so a reference number that they can reference to. So I want to know, it worked under NYCHA. Again, this just goes back to this. It seems like the RAD PACs are being left to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and that's why I question NYCHA's role in providing oversight over these developments. It seems as though you just handed the keys to these new developers and have left them alone. And I've seen that on multiple occasions. And the 12 developments or the 4 developments that have been converted over to the RAD PAC program. So I want to drill down on what type of oversight are you really providing?
Sure. So in addition to monitoring the work orders that we do receive from them on a regular basis, we also have a team of construction monitors who visit each site regularly. That's during the construction progress. We also have, on the Section 8 side, we have leased housing, continues to be involved as it relates to the administration of the voucher. Residents can continue to call the CCC if they have a repair-related complaint and request a special inspection.
How's that advertised to the tenants? How's that communicated to the tenants that there is a third party that's there that can mediate when these situations arise?
Sure. So around the time of closing, these resources are explained to residents.
You said around the time of closing?
Around the time of closing, when the projects convert these.
Yeah, but when well, you're talking about initially when it's, okay.
Right.
So after the rehab is done, and then we're moving into the management, what type of oversight is done when there are controversies? Like in Penn Workman houses, there was a major issue with the slam locks, and also in Linden houses, where the residents did not want slam locks. Management went ahead and disregarded the wishes and the desires of the tenants and said we were going to go forward with the slam locks. NYCHA was made aware. We didn't hear a peep from NYCHA. So what type of oversight are you providing?
Sure. So we also heard about that issue and had several discussions with the partner, and I know that there was some feedback that the partner heard from members of the resident body as well, and I believe the partner made some adjustments to the slam locks, but we can reconfirm.
Well, in Penn Workman, have adjustments been made? We just spoke to a tenant that just said that it's still the same. Nothing's been done. The slam locks are there. The management totally disregard, or this new PAC, the RAD manager or development or managers totally disregarded the desires of the tenants. What I'm trying to point out is that this is just a pattern. And I hear a lot of folks that want to embrace RAD PAC, but the aftermath in a lot of these developments have not been the greatest outcome. Whether it's the inferior materials that are being used by these developers, you name it. What oversight is NYCHA really providing?
So, Council Chair, to that point, in addition to the points that were just shared, we also have unified design standards where we provide those to PAC partners prior to the closing. Those are shared and are available on the website. Those are requirements. So baselines are set for them. They obviously have some latitude because they're funding the projects in terms of determining the final hardware for installation, but that's part of the requirements that NYCHA sets out.
How does NYCHA communicate with the private developers and management to ensure that the tenants can receive building improvements, upgrades, repairs in line with sustainability work being done at other developments?
Sure. So NYCHA is in communication with the PAC partners in a few different on a few different topic areas, as I had mentioned. We're in touch with them, the property management team, on a regular basis regarding the status of their work orders. We have a construction oversight team that is on the ground, having engagement with their general contractors on a regular basis. We also have a resident outreach team that meets with TA leadership on a regular basis as well.
Do you attend TA meetings?
Periodically, and members of the team does as well.
Can you give me some TA meetings you've attended within the last 3 or 4 months? The RADPAC TA meetings.
We can follow up with a list of meetings.
I would like
we've
that
attended.
number, yeah, because
Sure.
I have yet to see you at any RADPAC developments in my district. That's 4, and I attend, personally, probably have attended at least every TA meeting for the last 6 or 7 months
We can follow
since
up
I've
with that
taken
information.
office. So I would like to see that. What is NYCHA's heating outage response protocol when it comes to PAC developments?
Sure. So the standard that we set for our PACT partners when we ask them to report on heat-related outages is in-unit outages 24 hours, and building-wide outages, the standard is 8 hours.
Okay. Recently, with the temperatures dipping in Linden houses, there was a major heating outage that had taken place where residents went without heat for quite a couple of days. I wanted to know, were you aware of that? And what type of oversight did you provide in that situation?
Sure.
In those situations?
Sure. So we're aware of a number of in-unit outages that had occurred at the Linden Penn Wortman houses, and when the heating system was replaced, the thermostat valves were also replaced. And
Correct.
As residents raised issues to CNC, they identified that certain valves had issues, and when that issues were raised, they were able to replace them under warranty and fix the issue. They're also going through and inspecting units where those valves had been replaced, even if an issue hasn't been raised yet, to reinspect them and proactively replace them if needed.
On the preparedness side, what oversight is being provided by NYCHA when it comes to preparedness and testing these? Even, and let me just say this: we're happy that Linden houses got brand new boiler systems. Obviously, long overdue and needed. But on the preparedness side, what is NYCHA doing to make sure that that they're on the ground with some of these new RADPAC developments, these conversions?
Yeah, so similar to some of the seasonal preparedness that was being described by my colleagues, the PAC partners also prepare for the heating season by opening up the boilers. They do cleaning, they inspect them, make sure that all of the parts are in the status that they need to be, make repairs as needed.
They're turning over reports to you, or they're reports that they're turning over to you, or is this stuff that is written?
We don't collect reports on seasonal preparedness, no.
So are there any reports that are being given by these RADPAC development companies to NYCHA?
So we collect monthly reporting regarding
There's
work
monthly
orders.
reporting.
Yes.
And the reporting covers a whole, what are the areas that the reporting covers?
Sure, it covers 6 different areas. It includes heat, pests, leaks, mold, lead, and elevators.
Okay, and how are these reports being scrutinized by NYCHA?
So we receive them every month and we review them systematically, look for trends, discuss what we see in the reports if we have questions about any of the information in there for clarity or for completeness. And then we publish them quarterly on our public dashboard.
Okay, so then how does NYCHA handle heating complaints that come in from tenants living in the PAC developments?
Sure, so up first, the residents should always contact their property manager first because they're in the best position to respond. But I understand that in some instances, complaints may come in through a council member to our intergov team.
Correct.
And when that happens, they quickly get routed to the real estate team or directly to the partner, and we send them to the partner directly.
How do you maintain the data?
How do we maintain?
How does NYCHA collect and maintain the data on heating complaints from the tenants in the PAC developments?
Yeah, we have a reporting system that's built out.
Okay.
Partners use, yeah. With us.
How do you notify tenants living in the PAC developments of service outages or interruptions?
Sure, so each of our partners should be providing advance notice to residents in instances of service outage.
How does NYCHA, let me repeat this question again, how do you notify the tenants living in the PAC developments of service outages or interruptions?
So NYCHA wouldn't be doing those notifications. The PACT partners would be responsible for notifying the residents.
So do you require them to notify tenants of any outage or interruptions?
They should be notifying residents of planned service outages.
And in a NYCHA building, what is the protocol? How's that done? How do you notify tenants of an interruption in service or outage?
So we have, again, I think may have addressed this earlier. Just reiterate that we use a varying number of. I may have addressed this in testimony as well. But we.
No, my question: how do you communicate to them? Very
what I was
simple.
wondering is,
simple
yeah.
question.
What I wanted to clarify is, are you speaking about specific media we use, or?
When there's an outage or
How do
a
we do it?
service interruption, very straightforward.
I got you. Okay.
Question.
Understood.
How do
So
you
we-
communicate to the tenants?
Right, absolutely. So when an outage is created,
How do you do it on the NYCHA side? On the Section 9, how do you do it?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
In comparison to Section 8?
no, we're here. So there's two types of outages: planned and unplanned. A planned outage requires 48 hours notice that in advance. So a resident will receive a robocall 48 hours in advance, 24 hours, and then the morning of for a service outage. That will allow the resident to prepare. An unplanned outage, an emergent outage, right, where we have no choice but to take it down in real time. Residents will see a robocall, and the buildings will be posted. In both instances, the buildings will be posted, and we use flyers as well. They also receive My NYCHA alerts for folks who use the app.
So when there's a planned outage, right, on the Section 9 side, do the management company, or sorry, the management company, does the management office, housing assistance manager, superintendent, whoever, do they door knock? Do they take individual assessments of if they're elderly folks or folks with disabilities in a planned outage? Like, what's the time frame between the assessments being done, the door knocking being done, a thorough assessment, when there's a planned outage?
There's a number of ways we do outreach. Our resident services partnerships and initiative, our SPI department, who will do outreach. We maintain a list of.
Do you pick it?
Do we do outreach? Yeah, they do.
It sounds like you pick and choose. I'm asking you, is there a protocol? Is something established?
When we know that there's going to be, so when we know that there's going to be a prolonged service disruption, we do reach out to vulnerable residents prior to. That list is maintained in the property office, and our resident services team will reach out in advance. And that goes for unplanned as well. We will make sure that our residents who perhaps are on life-sustaining equipment, for example, are still able to use that equipment. For an electrical outage.
So I just want to make sure we get this on the record. So there are assessments that are done for individual tenants by management. So if there is a planned outage, the whatever the effects are won't be adverse to the tenants.
If there is a planned outage, yes.
If there's a planned outage,
yeah,
right,
if there's a planned
the individual assessments done to make sure you're meeting the needs of those tenants who may have disabilities or
I don't,
Or-
so yeah, I think we follow up we do follow up during the outage, but prior to the outage, we want to make sure that those residents, especially, for example, an elevator, I mean, this is off topic, but an elevator outage, right? We would let residents who have ambulatory difficulties
Correct.
understand that the elevator is going to be out.
Have there been any issues where, such as a boiler problems that you're aware of in the PAC developments? Any boiler issues that have taken place that you're aware of, particularly in the PAC developments?
So some of our more recently converted sites haven't undergone the full boiler repair and replacement, and so some of those systems do struggle immediately upon conversion.
What
they-
developments where there have been a boiler replacement, where there have been issues that have been brought to your attention?
Sure, I mean, I can refer back to what had happened at Hope Gardens, where there were issues immediately after the boilers had been replaced, where there was flooding and they were damaged again. And as we had described before, there's additional funds that were made available to for the long-term solution for addressing that issue, which was elevating the boilers.
Okay, I think you may have answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What PAC sites are being when PAC sites are being renovated? What work is done to improve the heat retention of the building?
Sure, so there's a few different things separate and apart from the heating system upgrades and replacements. It's things like facade improvements, so that could be things like the EFIS panels that we were discussing before, the window replacement to make sure that there's a really tight seal, roof replacements, and additionally, this would be a seasonal activity, but partners also work with residents as heating season's approaching to take out their AC units or put covers on their AC units.
Okay. Are there tests done to ensure that the building keeps in its heat in the winter and cold in the summer?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
I said, are there tests done to ensure that the building keeps in heat in the winter and cold in the summer?
They do all of the required testing, and they're also held to the local law standards, which also monitor energy efficiency and performance.
All right. Let me now go on to Superstorm Sandy recovery. What improvement, upgrades, and repairs have been made at NYCHA Development since the impact of Superstorm Sandy? And can you share with us the numbers of improvements like boiler replacements, window repairs, and roof replacements, and et cetera?
Yeah, I can share updates. Thank you, Chair. So funding was allocated to cover 35 different developments, which is for a total of 256 buildings. With the money, as my colleague Siobhan shared, a number of the boilers were elevated above the ground in what we call annex buildings. There's 141 annex buildings that were installed as part of the program. And the aim is for 72 boilers to be finalized when we close out the program. To date, we've finished construction of 56 boilers and installed 183 domestic hot water systems as upgrades. We've also completed 187 roofs to date as part of that work.
Okay. Reporting revealed significant delays and cost overruns for the construction projects related to Superstorm Sandy. Do you have an estimate? On when the remaining NYCHA development work attributed to Superstorm Sandy will be completed?
Yes, Council Chair. Year to date, we closed out 10 projects. We have a further 8 projects remaining, and construction of those 8 projects will by and large be finished by 25, with one more project extending into 26.
Okay. And what changes to the policies or protocols has NYCHA implemented to prevent similar delays and cost overruns in the future, especially in the event that disaster remediation work is needed?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chair. So we've certainly learned from it. And one of the big changes that we've implemented is integrating so that whenever we're carrying out capital projects, instead of waiting for funding, we seek to add resiliency measures. We're also looking to incorporate resiliency measures into full building retrofits. So a number of our comprehensive modernization projects focused on full building retrofits. One of the challenges we had with the funding for Superstorm Sandy was that it was limited in scope and not able to cover plumbing upgrades and interior work. And so when we incorporate that into a comprehensive modernization where we rehab the entire development, we're better able to address those in-unit repair needs in addition to the resiliency measures.
All right, thank you. Now I want to move on to sustainability commitments and climate resiliency. Can you update us on any work that NYCHA has been doing to meet its commitments as laid out in its sustainability agenda and its climate adaptation plan? And are there other climate resiliency efforts, either solely under NYCHA or joint with other agencies that NYCHA is engaged in outside of these directives?
Sure, thank you for the question, Chair. We have a sustainability agenda, as you know, that was published in 2021 that set out some pretty ambitious commitments for NYCHA, and we are working as an agency to fulfill those commitments. So as we discussed a little bit earlier, one of our biggest commitments is to develop a path forward to electrify our space heating systems and domestic hot water systems, because that is sort of our primary user of fossil fuels and therefore producer of greenhouse gas emissions. So we are working on implementing our electrification program, both in the space heating and domestic hot water systems, as we move forward. We are also deploying 30 megawatts of solar on NYCHA rooftops. We are aiming to get 30 megawatts deployed by 2026, and we are well on our way to meeting that target. We are pursuing energy.
How many NYCHA developments have?
How many NYCHA developments have solar? I'm going to have to get back to you with the exact number, but we have about 25 megawatts either in active, already installed, in active construction, or in signed leases for rooftop solar. So I'll get back to you with the list of developments and number of them.
Okay, how does NYCHA track its progress in meeting its sustainability and resiliency goals?
Sure, so we actually publish updates to our sustainability agenda every year. We typically publish them.
You said you publish it every year?
Every year.
Okay.
On our sustainability agenda website, you'll find annual reporting
in that plan, would it state how many developments have actually are solar?
So we have a summary level, sort of how far we are towards our solar progress. I am not sure whether the website currently has the full list of developments, but we can certainly provide that.
So it's not updated?
Excuse me?
The website's not updated, you said? Or you're just not sure?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure if we have the list of sites with solar on that sustainability agenda webpage that we update each year. Do you know?
Yeah. So, Chair, we can provide the list for projects that are completed and under construction.
Okay.
What we don't share publicly is obviously the ones that are in process where we're working on new leases.
But you do have knowledge of the ones that are completed?
Say again?
You have knowledge of the...
Yes, of course. We have
okay.
knowledge.
Yes. We definitely track that and we have that information. I was just saying, I'm not sure if it's on that website that I referred to, but we will provide you with a full list. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is NYCHA confident that it can meet its sustainability commitments with the resources and funding currently available to it?
So specifically with regard to our Local Law 97 commitments, our obligation is to make best efforts to achieve a 40% reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and an 80% reduction by 2050. So we are making every effort to meet those goals, and we have identified a feasible path forward to do so.
Okay.
We will be continuing to work as hard as we can to implement those goals, including the kind of industry-moving challenge that we have completed in order to develop solutions to do so.
From a budgetary outlook, how is NYCHA accounting for present and future budget concerns as they pertain to sustainability and weatherization goals? And how much money is being spent and on and budgeted for the resilience work?
Sure. So, as we mentioned, the Sandy program, of course, has over $3 billion that's been spent on the resiliency work there. In addition, we are working to secure our FEMA grants for the effects of Tropical Storm Ida. The CDBG DR funding that is also related to Ida for NYCHA totals about $169 million. That is split between a green infrastructure program, local match, and additional mitigation funds related to the FEMA award, as well as the Hope Gardens program that's being implemented at Hope and Bushwick Gardens. In addition, we have about $100 million worth of cloudburst work going on. So that is work where we are modifying landscapes to both provide an improved experience of grounds on a day-to-day basis, but also incorporates stormwater management into the open spaces on NYCHA properties. And so we have actually our first cloudburst project that was developed in cooperation with DEP in construction now at South Jamaica Houses.
Okay.
We have one at Clinton Houses where design is wrapping up, and we will be moving forward into the construction procurement phase this year. At Jefferson Houses, we have a grounds project that should be going into construction shortly that incorporates that cloudburst level of stormwater management. And then we have 4 additional sites that are in the early stages of design in our cloudburst program. We also have a number of studies where we are continuing to look at which properties are going to be vulnerable in the future to increased incidence of coastal storms and stormwater. And we are working to kind of keep a pipeline of projects that can be funded through hazard mitigation programs so that we have a consistent source of kind of applications for new work in that area.
How is NYCHA specifically accounting for future changing weather patterns and potential weather events at its developments?
Sure. So a lot of it does relate to that work that I was just mentioning, where we are incorporating resiliency measures into, or implementing resiliency measures through disaster recovery work, as well as doing scoping studies to identify where we may have additional challenges in the future and where we need to incorporate protection against storms and other weather events into the work that we are doing.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to now elevator outages. Elevator outages were cited as a big problem for NYCHA residents in the wake of Superstorm Sandy. How has NYCHA prepared for future potential elevator outages during extreme weather events? And how can NYCHA residents expect to be supported during an elevator outage caused by an extreme weather event?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So before any major weather event, rain, snow, major heat, the elevator team gets together and establishes where we need extra resources, right? So if we have a known flood area, we may assign an extra support to that neighborhood or that region to ensure that we have enough teams to respond, both during normal business hours and on off hours. We've also taken some steps to ensure that our, something as simple as door operators, right? There's a waterproof version of the one that we use. So where we have known flood areas, we replace the existing door operator, right, that keeps the hatch door and the cab door together and opens the car. We'll replace those with that equipment to reduce outages as a result of that operator, right? So that's just an example of one thing.
Okay.
Also, Chair, in relation to that, for the sites that are affected by coastal flooding through Superstorm Sandy, we have 197 generators that we're installing, and that's backup power, in the event of an electrical outage.
And can I just add, I
Yes,
got
you
some
may.
information from my colleague about the number of solar sites. So we actually have 49 developments where solar is either installed or currently in the planning stages. So 12 are complete in operation. 7 of those are on packed developments. 14 have signed leases and are in design or construction. 5 of those are packed developments. And then we have 23 more with pending leases that we're working on now.
The solar paneling that was put up in the PAC developments, were they done prior to the conversion, or this was during the part of the conversion? Part of the rehab or the construction?
Generally part of the conversion.
So these were not done by NYCHA?
That's correct.
This
Yeah,
one-
we can follow up on the specific answer to that. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you. How many weatherization or climate-related pilot programs is NYCHA currently operating?
Sure. So our major pilot programs include the Clean Heat for All Challenge that I mentioned previously, as well as electrification of some other buildings, including Hoe Avenue in the Bronx and 830 Amsterdam, where we're looking at those as kind of early pilots of electrification technology. Our Cloudburst program, we do consider that to be a pilot program where we're doing these more kind of major modifications of landscapes in order to manage stormwater while upgrading the outdoor experience on the campuses. And then we also have another innovation challenge related to climate that we're in the early stages of. That relates to induction stoves in NYCHA buildings, where we, similar to the Clean Heat for All Challenge, have worked with NYPA and NYSERDA to request the development of an induction stove that can be installed easily in NYCHA kitchens as an alternative to gas without having to do major electric upgrades. So we have a number of programs and are kind of developing further ones. We have a couple of scoping studies. One involves resilience hubs that we may be moving forward on.
As part of our general electrification program, we also have sites with geothermal. So I wouldn't call it a pilot program, but
Okay.
That's another.
Right.
With the RADs, is NYCHA also requiring the RADs also follow the same the direction that NYCHA is going?
Yes, so they similarly are prioritizing sustainability efforts when they're developing their scopes. So some of the tactics that Shaban was talking about, such as electrification or partial electrification, is also being rolled out at PACT sites as well.
Okay.
And we work closely with the real estate development team to ensure that those requirements are built into the RFIs that go out for PACT developers. So the two divisions work very closely together on aligning those standards.
That's good to know. Can you share the status of the NYCHA Resilience Hubs pilot program?
Sure. So we had a study that was funded by FEMA that is ongoing and nearing completion, looking at the feasibility of retrofitting community centers as community resilience hubs. So that would include adding features like backup power, additional electrical outlets and things so that those community centers can really be prepared to serve as hubs in times of climate-related emergencies.
How many community centers system-wide are able to be a hub or have that apparatus in place of an emergency?
Sure. So some of our community centers in the Sandy program are part of do have backup power, so have that feature. I can get back to you on the number of community centers that are outfitted with backup power already, but that is part of our Sandy program, provided full building backup power to many of those buildings.
And this is a system, this is throughout the entire NYCHA portfolio, right? Where this is being proposed to the centers or being implemented in the centers, the community centers.
Right, so this is separate from Sandy. So I'm just saying, like, some of those community centers already do have backup power.
Backups, okay.
However, the Resiliency Hub study specifically looks at, okay, how could we look at key centers throughout the rest of the NYCHA portfolio to retrofit with backup power and other amenities. So we have 5 community centers that are part of that study, and the study will result in schematic designs and cost estimates that allow us to then go forward and apply for funding through additional sources. So those are not funded to go into construction,
Okay.
but it is part of a study that helps to set us up and try to secure hazard mitigation funding to do that work in the future.
The community centers and the RAD conversion developments, are they also obligated to put in a backup generator system in the community centers?
No,
just
so
in
there's
case?
no requirement to do this. What we're doing in the Resilience Hub study is really looking at the feasibility
Right.
and looking to secure funding for it, but Jillian could speak to this further, but my understanding is that there's no requirement currently to do
I would think that would be proactive
Look into that and
to
follow
take.
up.
Yeah.
Look into that and follow up.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be proactive if NYCHA, made it where all community centers had a backup generator system. I know that's a capital investment, but nevertheless, knowing the emergencies that have come up, and tenants, whether it's a heating outage or planned outages that have been complete failures, at least there are locations or places where the tenants can go to be safe. And is NYCHA planning to expand any of its pilot programs to additional developments? And is NYCHA considering implementing any new pilot programs at any of its developments?
So we're always looking, sustainability is really set up to evaluate new technologies, pilot them if needed, and prepare them to scale up. So once we move beyond a kind of initial demonstration phase, at that point, it's really no longer a pilot, it's really an integration of that technology into NYCHA's typical ways of doing business. So for electrification, we have really good results from our early projects where we've installed heat pumps, and we are moving to plan for scaling up that technology as a part of our typical capital program. And then, as new needs become apparent and new technologies may be available to address those needs at NYCHA, using a pilot program to evaluate and determine whether it's an appropriate technology for NYCHA is something we'll continue to do.
Okay. Well, how can the public stay informed on the status of a pilot program or acts to participate in a pilot program?
Sorry, how can a development ask to participate in a pilot program?
How can the public stay informed? How can the residents stay informed?
How can residents stay involved? So we do try to communicate what we're doing with regard to our pilot programs broadly. When we are doing a pilot program, often we're using technical factors in order to determine where we can pilot a technology, or potentially funding factors. But to the extent we can, we are working with residents to determine if they're supportive and kind of move forward with pilots that residents are enthusiastic to see come to their developments. So we try to take resident input into account as much as possible, given other technical and feasibility considerations.
Thank you. Now going to tenant outreach. How do you notify NYCHA tenants when carrying out projects at NYCHA developments? And do tenants have a say in how the upgrades or renovations get implemented at their buildings?
Yeah, so critical to our capital projects is tenant engagement, or stakeholder engagement. So throughout our planning and design process, we have multiple touch points, depending on the scope of work, but an average heating project, we would have roughly 5 touch points during the design phase, where we're working with resident leadership to communicate both the intent of the project and take feedback. As much as possible, we want to incorporate in tenant direction in terms of infrastructural upgrades, but obviously there are limitations both funding and commitments that we have to meet, particularly for heating plants. But as my colleague shared, we certainly actively engage with residents in the planning process. In the construction process, we meet with them on a bi-weekly basis, so they're free to attend all those meetings. And we have quarterly meetings on site, and those are the points where we share future projects, and we have more substantive engagement about whether or not electrification or an alternative energy solution is suitable for the development.
Thank you. Is this process different for tenants living in the PAC developments?
So similarly, informing residents of the status of construction projects is very important on the PACT side as well. And immediately after closing, we ask that the PACT partners share their plan for engaging with residents after closing. The menu of options that could include will vary based on this exact work that's being done. It may change over the course of the construction period, but it would include things like meetings with TAs. It could include meetings with individual stair halls if there's temporary relocations happening. It could include notices or newsletters that are being distributed, or other methods depending on the specific construction work that's happening at a given period.
Will you get input? Would you get input, take input back from tenants?
We're always open to feedback, and in fact, there's residents that participate in the selection and have an opportunity to speak with the PACT partner before the project even closes and the partner is even selected, so the feedback is heard.
Is that so?
Yes.
Okay. So tenants at RADPACs will be engaged. Their input will matter. And at these particular RADPAC developments, what oversight is actually, what role is NYCHA playing in that whole process?
Sorry, can you repeat that quickly?
No, I said, what role is NYCHA playing in this whole process as far as on the oversight side to make sure that when residents give input to these RADPAC development companies or to the management company, the new private management companies, that it's being taken just not into consideration, but it's being lived out.
Sure. So some of the oversight I was describing earlier, again, is we have a resident outreach team that meets with TA bodies on a regular basis. We have a team of construction
And NYCHA's
monitors.
at those resident meetings?
So NYCHA does have a resident outreach team that meets with TAs regularly, yes.
At RADPACs?
Yes.
Okay. And that's done bi-weekly, weekly? When does it start? Is it start during the construction phase? Is this after the construction phase?
It starts upon closing and it follows a periodic schedule, and if there's a particular project where you want to know more about those meetings, we can follow up.
Well, I'm aware of the construction meetings that takes place, the bi-weekly construction meetings that take place with the RADPACs. But I'm not too sure that I remember ever NYCHA being on any of those calls. So maybe if you can, I'll ask to pull those logs to see if NYCHA was in attendance. But you know, this hits on my overall point that again NYCHA is not involved. I'm not seeing them at the level where they should be engaged with these RADPACs, and it seems I've come to somewhat of a conclusion that this experiment is not working. And yes, NYCHA is in need of some of these developments were in need or are in need of major capital improvements, but we can't just allow the developers and these management companies to just have their own way and act as that there's no type of there's no type of oversight that exists. And I'm constantly seeing this pattern over and over. So I don't, I don't know what the disconnect is and why NYCHA hasn't seen it as yet. But I'm hoping, over the next year or so, as I'm chair of this committee, we can get to a better point where NYCHA is providing oversight, real oversight over these rad packs before it gets out of control. And in some situations, it's already out of control. And NYCHA's been sleeping on the wheel, so I'm hoping that you wake up and seriously take control of, as we are continuing to convert more developments. I believe there's another 60,000 developments that are in the pipeline to be converted to RAD. And I'm just hoping that the pattern that has been set thus far by the authority it changes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your testimony.
Oh, that was the goodbye thing.
Thank you.
Oh,
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Likewise. Oh, sorry about that. Please be seated. I rescind the Councilmember Velez.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all. Sorry. Right on time, though.
We're here.
I have a few questions for you. Could you, excuse me. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the differences that you've seen between the NYCHA managed properties and PAC managed properties around the differences of heat outages?
Like comparatively?
Do you track, do you also keep track of the PAC managed properties and their heat outages?
Yeah, so both are tracked.
Okay. Are
you asking us
have
do
you
we do
seen
comparison?
differences between the two in terms of performance or more problems?
So we probably have to look into that a little bit more, but we'll get back to you on how that looks. I haven't done a comparison.
Okay.
As of
We can, I guess, what we'd like to understand is what is happening across the two, also how a worker is deployed. For PAC developments, if they are performing better, what are they doing? Who are they using? That maybe can help NYCHA perform better. Also, how they respond during weekends. And then also, we'd like to know in terms of what heat neighborhood the Red Hook houses falls under, because we understand they're organized in clusters.
Which, Red Hook?
Yes.
I will get you the exact neighborhood. Obviously, it's a Brooklyn neighborhood that's escaped me at the moment, but
Okay.
Yeah, we'll follow up with exactly who your folks are.
We'll follow up with the line of questioning for all of these elements, so thank you.
Do you have a specific question about Red Hook?
I'll get back to you specifically. I just wanted to lay those on the record for you, particularly around the distinctions and then how we're learning from those in order to make sure we can maximize and improve conditions.
Absolutely. I think we're learning from each other, right? At the beginning of the transition, NYCHA's infrastructure is very old, and we're doing a lot of work with the PAC partner to ensure that transitions happen smoothly, and even offering guidance after the closing to, if the heating system is from 1976 and folks haven't seen it, right? We're still kind of providing that guidance to help the transition go smoothly. So.
Of the boilers that you mentioned early on in the beginning, that I have no longer any recollection of, are any of those boilers in Red Hook that were transitioned? And does Red Hook come on the list for upcoming transitions?
Yeah, Red Hook comes on the list for upcoming transition. So part of the upgrades there was a completely new high-pressure steam plant. And so the intention is to test out, because we have finished construction over the next couple of months, to make sure everything's fully functional and operational. But
Great.
yes.
So we'll follow up. And the other one was about the coverage area, so where Red Hook fits.
Brooklyn Neighborhood 2.
Yep.
Say again?
Brooklyn Heating Neighborhood 2.
And what does that mean?
There's
What neighborhoods does that cover? Is that a giant geography?
What are the
for the heating
I
situation.
understand, yeah. What is that supervisor responsible for, is what you're asking?
What is the geographic area that covers?
Get you that in a second. We'll follow up with you on that one.
Oh, okay,
The
so you
exact
had a
area.
half an answer to me, don't?
No, yeah.
Brooklyn coverage too.
I thought you were asking the actual neighborhood, Brooklyn, yeah.
A
neighborhood
little
too.
bit, to understand the scale and scope and
Sure.
how it potentially impacts service.
Understood, yeah. So every supervisor has its own. So Red Hook is an interesting plant. So every supervisor has between, you know, an average of 5 properties, right? 1 day a week, they can visit every single one. And Red Hook is an interesting property in that because it's a high pressure steam plant and has different regulations, we've actually hired an additional number of staff. So there is a supervisor assigned just to Red Hook in the stationary plant because it's a high pressure plant. So that position is being filled currently. That plan is also being placed online currently. So we have staff there now learning the system from the contractor who built it. And like I said, it's its own kind of microgrid that is overseen by not only a heating superintendent that is responsible for a geographic area, but has on-site supervision because of the size of the scope.
Okay, so there is a designated person who is in that role. Great. I'll follow up with you.
For the heating plant itself.
For the heating
yes.
plant itself. Okay, we'll follow up. Thank you so much for indulging me.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it.
Thank you, council member. We're now going to move on. Thank you again, guys. Happy holidays, and
Thank you, Chair. You too.
looking forward
Thank
to
you for
the
having me.
follow-up to the questions that were given today. Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to open the hearing for public testimony. Just want to remind members that this is a public, I want to remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and that the decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. This is a hearing that will be, hold on a minute. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings at testimony, but may submit transcript of such recordings to the Sergeant of Arms for inclusion into the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out the appearance card with the Sergeant of Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak at today's hearing topic, which is on weatherproofing and at NYCHA buildings and campuses. Excuse me. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant of Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@councilnyc.gov or other email address within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recording will not be accepted. I would like to call up the panel. I would like to call up Renee Keith and Joe Rupperman. Kupferman, sorry about that. Do apologize. Thank you. It's a K. Okay. You may begin, Renee.
So this will be short and easy. I spoke to your Chief of Staff, Michael Lambert. So these are the 949 signatures of the tenants opposing the demolition of Fulton and Elliott Chelsea houses. So you will have them. Along with that, there's an article discussing the the economizing of public housing, New York City's use of rental assistance demonstration program as neoliberal political project, legal rationality, and normative theory. I think it'll be very interesting for you to read. On
Thank you.
this, yes. So on this, a lot of things happened, as usual, non-answer answers, and you had to repeat yourself constantly. One thing they like to tell you is that there are solar. Lovely that it is solar. The next part of the question, who is it being used for? Is it being used to heat the residents, or is it being used and basically leased to other properties? So on the September 25th NYCHA open board hearing, the authorization was requested to enter into a lease agreement between the authority as landlord and API as tenant to lease rooftop space of buildings at Brookline, Brownsville, Astoria, Ravenswood, South Jamaica 1, and South Jamaica 2, which will be utilized for solar voltaic systems commencing on October 1st, 2024, and continuing through September 30th, 2044, or commencing on such date as may be determined by the Chief Procurement Officer or the Chief Asset and Capital Management Officer, and continuing for 20 years thereafter at an annual rate of 138,019.68. Tenant shall have the option to extend the term for an additional 5 one-year renewal options. Total revenue for the initial 20-year term, 2,760,393.60. That's very important.
Quick question. I mean, I'm interested because I heard you mention Brookline houses, and obviously that's one of the developments that's in my district. So you're alleging that they will be exporting the energy that's gathered from solar.
Yes,
to
they
other
don't go to,
developments?
yeah. It's going for low and other middle income residents. Basically, NYCHA is leveraging its real estate and leaving its tenants in the cold. So if that's a possibility, being solar is not, that's nice, it's solar,
Right.
but who it needs to be used for. Also, the USDA has district conservationists, and they should be working with them for sustainability. Things you can do is gardens. NYCHA has a lot of land, and they do have a gardening community that has been there since 1962. Also, you have many people who are NYCHA residents who are urban farmers. These are the people whose expertise should be leveraged in this. So the USDA and the Farm Service Agency has offices. So those are the things that should be used. It wouldn't cost them money. They most likely can get it from other sources and should be utilizing grants. Those are the things that are important. You should also be looking at the capital tracker to see the difference between 5-year and 20 years in each of the developments when you speak. So if there's very little difference, are those totals really correct? Because I looked at Chelsea and Elliott and Fulton, and there's very little difference. So those are the things that should be always asked of these people. As you saw, they had a real great amount of problem actually answering the questions, and you, as usual, you know you do that. I love when you do that. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I just love watching them screw over. You got to ask these questions, and repeatedly. There are other agencies that they can be working with, and all these questions that they didn't answer, you need to get on them to answer. So those questions need to go to them, and you want an answer. Or give them these questions ahead of time. And when they don't come to answer, what are the consequences? Because that has to start happening. They can't keep doing this. That's it. Sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Darlene, did you have any? Councilmember Miller, we'll come back to you when you do remember. Sir, you may give your testimony.
Joel Kupferman, Environmental Justice Initiative. I represent the Tenant Association of Smith Houses, residents to preserve public housing, and concerned residents at Reese. It's been a 5-6 year battle for the Environmental Justice Initiative. We've seen millions being misspent. The first thing I want to get out, it's not a question of money, it's a question of misspent money, unaccounted for money. Each of the places where they're working on capital budget, especially the boilers, is an environmental health hazardous epicenter. They're placing workers, NYCHA staff, and residents in harm's way, inside and outside. At Smith, we've measured the heat above the boiler to be 150 degrees. It's coming up. Fortunately, there's a big, good contractor there, but we've been sitting in on bi-weekly meetings. A lot of the construction oversight that the residents are allowed to sit in on they're not allowed to participate, or they're not participating, all right? So that's violating, I believe, 984.
And this is a NYCHA development.
This is NYCHA development.
Just wanna
So
make
the
that clear.
Smith with a vociferous tenant association. Others, we hear stories, and we also have whistleblowers coming to us all the time. I also suggest that this committee set up a special number or whatever, that you listen to the workers that are seeing these things that are going on. What also alarms me is that they're coming in contact with asbestos, lead, arsenic, VOCs and SVOCs. At Reese, we have a brownfield site. Brownfield means Superfund mini site, okay? The trouble is that the workers are complaining of being exposed to the heat. We measured the heat in the ground. We come up with 180 degrees. That means all those VOCs are coming up through the ground. What's alarming, for doing this work for so long, is that those workers are not aware of even what PESH is. PESH is the Public Employee Safety and Health Plan. Every city worker and NYCHA worker is entitled to know that, so we have a problem.
You have a minute to wrap it up.
Okay, all right. We have raw sewage that people are being exposed to, all right? But this sewage is coming from the construction sites. With the construction sites that put in new boilers are upsetting the existing situation. At Smith, you still have 9/11 dust that's coming up. The pipelines that they excavate is opening up lead and arsenic. At Reese, we have high levels of arsenic, and we assume everywhere else. The city in NYCHA has refused or hasn't been measuring what's there, all right? And then we found that when that soil is exposed, it becomes resuspended and goes into the people's homes. And then part of the problem is that we're mentioning all the environmental bits. These sites, including Smith, at Baruch, whatever, is causing extensive tree damage, okay? They're doing the work improperly, and they're actually cutting down. There's a tree loss. So all this talk about resiliency is the opposite. So besides losing those trees for heat, we're losing all the soil and the retention values. The emergency generators are not being maintained. There's no checkup. So when the elevators go down, there's a problem that those generators that everyone depends on are not working. Those elevators, when they are working, carry all the stuff that's in the boiler rooms and like up into the people's apartments in pneumatic tubes. We've called over and over again health department to come in on some of these cases. The way the city is set up now, and I think this is city council's responsibility, is that when the health department finds something wrong at NYCHA, they just issue a warning letter. It doesn't go down as a violation. You don't know how serious, NYCHA is having infractions, and so it's not being recorded. There's definitely an understatement that's there. But also want to stress that the pipes that are being replaced coming into these boiler rooms are covered with asbestos. The asbestos is coming off of those pipes into the pathways, into the walkways. And so there's a major asbestos problem that is in violation of federal, state, and local law, and it just also is definitely a large threat. And also, NYCHA depends on building department supervision or oversight. The trouble is that the buildings department is not enforcing, okay? And NYCHA is telling you that there's no problems. The Department of Buildings never got a chance to review that, but they're telling you that everything is okay. There's major violations. I'm very concerned about RAD and PACT, is that there's going to be less oversight over those companies, all right? The cities owe $2.1 billion in uncollected fines. So now, no matter how bad NYCHA is not accountable, it's going to be worse under those new managers. The city has something called an ethical contracting or bad actor policy. NYCHA does not apply that to their contractors or the managers. We're also concerned that at Smith, one of the worst contractor oversight was a company called STV. They approved a $28 million contract even though the monitors were not being used, okay? So we show there's tree damage. So what did NYCHA do? They rewarded now STV as their main advisor on all technical stuff telling us that it's safe in terms of asbestos and lead. So
You have
we
to
the
you have to
wrong
wrap up
actors that
now.
are there.
You gotta wrap up.
Excuse me?
You gotta wrap up.
I got to wrap up?
Yes.
Okay. So I think you should not be fooled by model plans that they show. We should ask the worst-case scenario, not the pilots are doing, but there should be a complete new management in terms of who the contractors are.
Right.
And also, the fact that I mentioned that the workers and communities being insulted, you should call, or NYCHA can call upon the federal government for help. There's something that OSHA has called the Strategic Partnership Program, where they come in and look at all the sites to see where workers are being endangered, whether it's municipal workers and the contractors, and they will advise how to clean up without any fines. OSHA recommended, offered this service. NYCHA first said yes, and Dan Green, eventually said no. So there's plenty of federal help to come in to even at least assess where the dangers are, and NYCHA does not accept it or want to hear. So I just want to say, I'm like slightly behooved. This is like the 5th year testifying about this.
Right.
And it's actually, things have gotten worse. The heat, we discovered the heat at those places, which is really dangerous.
Sir, your
Oh
testimony.
my God, to test the heat.
You gotta wrap it up now.
I'm wrapping up, but.
Well,
I think
you
should-
wrapped it up.
And with the risk of
So
sounding bold.
thank you for your testimony, sir.
Okay.
Definitely, we thank you for this information, and we will be looking into this. Thank you.
Okay.
And we have a couple of questions from Councilman Mealy.
Sorry. Do you think NYCHA is doing any gardens on the roofs? Since they just did an overhaul on majority of NYCHA roofs, do you think they have anything like that in place?
No, you mentioned the roof work?
For
Our first
rooftop
exposure to the roof work was
for the
at,
environment,
excuse me?
for the environment.
Well, I'm concerned two ways. One is they could definitely use the roof for solar, but the trouble is only if they do it right, okay? When they're putting all the utilities, all that FEMA money to put all the boilers and everything else on top, they're not securing it, and also there's allowing the water to seep through those roofs, which have asbestos, lead, and bird stuff. I just want to say, which is actually endangering the people below.
But is NYCHA say they have replaced the majority of the roofs on majority of the NYCHA buildings?
Right.
So you're saying they're still leaking?
Some of them are leaking, yes. We're hearing questions of leaking for many, many cases.
Okay,
But I
we
want to just say
addressed
that leaking is, that's hazardous water, okay? That is going through bird excrement, and everyone is playing a blind eye to the situation. We were actually involved with the Haiti case where it was exposure to E. coli caused cholera, caused 18,000 deaths. So when we bring this up to NYCHA over and over again, they're just saying, there's no problem. The city health department should be
Okay,
active.
that's another thing where you said you're requesting that OSHA should do pop-ups at the sites and interview the workers.
Right, and
Some
they
of the
do it-
workers are whistleblowing with you, but not the proper authorities.
Right.
Okay,
And it's,
thank you.
okay, and it's also,
No, that's
it's
all I
not,
wanted
it's
to
not
ask.
OSHA, right. Here, it's the state agency that they should go to, but a lot of the workers aren't even aware, and that's the problem with the city, and the city ends up paying more when those workers sue for non-protection.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I just have a question.
Thank you. Let me just get so it is your testimony that you're saying that the replacement of the new boilers on those particular rooftops have caused damage, where there's been leaks that have been created from. Okay, just wanted to
Right.
go ahead. Thank you.
Hazardous health
Hazardous.
affecting damage.
Got you. Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Were you asking about agrivoltaics, a combination of gardening and that? As of my knowledge now, solar panel and that. As of now, it has not been done, at least to my knowledge, on a NYCHA development. Can it be done? Possibility in the future, but you also have to think, who is it going to be used for? Because now you also have to think, are you going to have people who are not NYCHA people coming into the building? So that also is something you have to think. Something I forgot to add is sustainability is our tree canopy. The thing that is not said, NYCHA trees are not on the stewardship map because they do not map private property. NYCHA is technically private property. So my development in Fulton, we have 370 trees. We know what's happened in Red Hook with over 400 trees have been, basically a boricide has happened. They're going to bring them back, but frankly, you've lost mature tree coverage. That can't be replaced, and it takes a good 50 or 60 years to even bother to do so. We know in Baruch, Lower East Side, they've lost their trees, and that's at least 100 of them. So when you're talking about sustainability, you need to also discuss your canopy. Street trees do not replace that kind of maturity.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your testimony, and we'll receive that package. You could actually hand it to my staff member. We'll give it to the Sergeant of Arms. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move to our virtual testimony. We have Karen Blondell. Karen Blondell.
Good morning. Well, afternoon. How are you, Chair? This is Karen. I am on the Sustainability Council with Siobhan Watson. I am on the Preservation Trust Board. I am a resident of the Red Hook Houses as well as the president of Red Hook West. And first and foremost, I'm requesting a meeting with the chair of public housing. That would be you, Chris Banks. I don't have an email, but I'll send something over. I think that this conversation needs to be longer than the 2-3 minutes that I'll be afforded today. I want to start off with a personal story about heat. About 5 years ago or more, when our congressperson was still Nydia Velasquez, I reported a steam leak in the pedestrian walkway right behind my building. And as you know, no good deed goes unpunished. That leak was fixed, but it popped up behind my neighbor's apartment. My neighbor is a paraplegic. He has no legs. He waits for home attendants and service in the daytime. I had since went over to his house and saw him sitting in there pouring sweat, sitting in a wheelchair because of this steam leak. So what I see is happening this year is that his home attendants come in the daytime, they feel all this heat in the apartment, they open the windows, and they leave around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If the heat goes off, which it normally does on a Saturday, around 5 p.m., this man is stuck with those windows open until the next day when a new home attendant for the weekend shows up. We experience this every single heating season for the last several years. I remember Jamani Williams coming here 3 years ago when I first became the president, and he was like, I want to do a press conference about no heat in Red Hook.
30 seconds to wrap it up.
I said, our problem is not no heat, we get too much heat. Since that time, we are now between the new system, which is the central heating plant, and these new steam pipes that are underneath the Red Hook pathways versus the old steam, which is the mobile trailer. No one is here on the weekend to oversee these processes, and we're in the cold every single weekend. We need some oversight. We need a watcher. A watcher is one person who has to stay in the development 24/7 in case of a heat outage. Because the weather's fluctuating right now, we need the watcher there. And I just want to answer one question quickly about why there's no gardens on the roof. Soil has a lot of weight. For them to put the farms or the gardens on the roof, they would have to fortify these roofs. Now, the roofs that have like the generators and stuff, they may have added some protection to keep those generators weight okay up there. But when it comes to soil, it's laid out across the whole surface, and the weight of water, plants, and that is one reason why NYCHA said it doesn't use its roofs for farming. The other thing is we push back on solar panels on our roofs, not because we don't believe in renewable energy. We don't believe in NYCHA watching its vendors and its contractors who have to come in and service these roofs. And that is the reason why you have punctures in the roof membrane, is because people come in and out of here with no oversight, going to the roofs, doing work. Oops, I made a mistake, and they walk away from it. No one is held accountable, and that is the reason for that. I hope to talk to you soon, Mr. Banks, but I will keep doing the work that I'm doing for Red Hook Houses no matter what.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your advocacy and your testimony. The committee is actually going to reach out to you and send you the email address to my chief of staff so we can set that meeting up ASAP. Thank you. Okay. Thank you again, Ms. Blundell. We're going to now move on to Beverly McFarland.
You may begin.
Can I have a minute?
How you doing, Ms. McFarland? You may start your testimony. Ms. McFarland, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
I was trying to get to somewhere where
Okay. Let me
I
know.
can hear.
Let me know when you're
Yes.
ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, you may begin your testimony.
Yes. My name is Beverly McFarland, resident council president for Taft Houses, vice chair for RPPH, Residents to Preserve Public Housing. I am testifying today that those NYCHA have continuously not tell the truth about what their processes are. In my development, we have new boilers, multi-million-dollar boilers, and we are still having issues in Taft Houses. First of all, the construction of these boilers did not have the debt rises part of the scope of work. So how can you put a new boiler without new pipes, which is so ridiculous? So half of my residents, I have 9 buildings, 1,500 units, and half of my residents in all 9 buildings have came to a resident association meeting complaining that the upper apartments are not getting heat. And this new little Mickey Mouse system, that whatever they call it, DMS or whatever they call it, are not working because these little monitors they put on residents in residents' apartments are from the 99-cent store and are not showing what the residents are experiencing in their home. I have a couple of residents that saying these monitors is always saying that 72 when apartments is maybe at 30 in the apartment as far as the cold. So I don't know what's going on with these new boiler systems that they have in it. Are they refurbished boilers or what is going on?
Your
But
time has expired.
being that the scope of work is not,
30
the
seconds
debt
to wrap
rises
up.
are not part of the scope of work. Excuse me?
You have 30
The debt
seconds to
rises
wrap
are-
it up.
I didn't hear you. I'm
No,
sorry.
I said you have 30 seconds to wrap it up, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, debt rises are not part of the scope of work. And that's why the system is no longer working and providing the services that we need in our development. And they spending in my development, the weatherization, we have scaffoldings up 5 years. They are spending $500,000 a year to have these vendors have the scaffolding and $40,000 a month to have someone, a third party, clean behind the scaffolding. That's ridiculous. Why don't they just make sure the work is done and point the buildings so we can have better heating in our apartment? I yield. Thank you.
Thank you for your advocacy and your testimony. Councilmember Mealy has a question for you.
Could you tell me how many Title III positions your tenants receive to get the jobs from NYCHA?
Well, as far as when the Section 3 jobs, I was advocating, so I did have many of my residents that I got OSHA 30 and 40 license. They were able to get, we only had about maybe 5 altogether, was able to get a job between STV and the but I found out that they did not get prevailing wages at the end. They ratified that, but a lot of these guys, 18 months, did not get the full prevailing wages until my advocacy. But they didn't get back pay for the 18 months that they were working at $18 and $20 an hour. Meanwhile, they're supposed to be getting $45 and $43 an hour.
Okay, keep advocating and let us know. $25 an hour is what they should have been paying those 18 months also. So please keep us abreast of that.
Thank you, Councilmember Mealy. We will now, and thank you, Ms. McFarling. We will now move on to Ms. Miranda.
You may begin.
I'm from the Elliott Houses in Chelsea. As you know, we've gathered 949 signatures against the demolition of Fulton, Elliott, and Chelsea. Now you have your personal set of our petitions. As chairman of a public housing committee, we need you to support and be a voice for our cause. This is a serious matter. Demolition of 2 NYCHA communities is not to be taken lightly. We need a hearing. You have jurisdiction over NYCHA and a responsibility to the tenants. We've handed petitions to Tony Simone, Eric Botcher, HUD, NYCHA. All elected officials know of our petitions. They've received letters, emails, and no one has responded. We are being ignored. NYCHA is federal housing property, which exists in every single district. So if demolition is being proposed, member deference becomes null and void concerning public housing matters. You accepted your seat for a reason. Eric Botcher has been planted in this board. He has no concern about public housing residents and is suppressing our voice. If we get demolished, the stage is set, and demolition of our NYCHA developments will end up in your district. Speak up now and defend our rights as public housing tenants. Please follow through on your role, Chairman. Follow through on your role as public housing board members. Stand up and be a voice that we are longing for. We must not be demolished. Thank you.
Are you done, Ms. Miranda? Okay. Thank you so much.
No,
I can give you 30 more seconds.
Okay. And the truth is, we with all the complaints that you're getting in from the Rat Pack conversions, you should put a moratorium to any conversions. You have the authority to do so. Residents are still having the same problems and even worse, including a higher eviction rate. It's defeating the purpose. Public housing must remain public. We become vulnerable in the hands of private developers, such as risking a demolition. And as Renee said, we're going to be losing our tree campus also. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miranda. Thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your testimony. And again, we've definitely had a host of conversations, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to Rachel Castro.
You may begin.
Yes. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Castro.
My name is Rachel Castro. I'm a tenant at 357 Wortman. And my complaint issues, as well as everyone in 357 building, has been complaining about the water, the hot water. It doesn't shut on, it shuts off when, when we trying to take a shower or anything, it doesn't go back on. It's been for a couple weeks now. And, you know, there's been tenants that go to the office or call them and let them know, and nothing's being done still. So they know I had to stay here for 2 hours to just talk about the water. Yes, I'm finished.
And what building is that again, Ms. Castro?
Boulevard Houses,
Boulevard Houses, and the building?
357 Wortman,
357.
WORTMAN.
I'm familiar with Workman. Okay, and we'll be in touch with you. If you can reach out to my office, please feel free, and we'll address that issue.
Okay, thank you so much, because it's a lot of tenants, you know, even coming to me, knocking on my door, like, you know, do you have hot water? I'm like, no, you know, we all have kids in this building, you know, little ones as well.
So how long has that been taking place?
It's been a couple of weeks that we haven't had hot water.
You haven't had hot water for over how many weeks?
On and off, couple of weeks, yes.
On and on a couple of weeks. And this is a Rad Pack converted development?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll be in touch with you. Please reach out to the office. This is Councilman Banks, your councilman. Please reach out to our office, okay? So we can address that issue. Thank you. We'll now move on to our next. We have Christopher Leon Johnson. You may begin your testimony.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I know I'm a little off topic now, but first of all, I want to say thank you, my Councilmember Mealy and Councilmember Banks, for voting no for the city of yes. Chris, I'm sorry about how I got at you at the Committee Board 5 hearing. Like I said, I really care about public housing, like I know like how you and Mealy does. But I hope you forgive me for that. I know Sandy's kind of different. But I want to talk about this situation right now with the weatherproof I saw it on the header. And the reason the repairs are not going to happen with weatherproofing the NYCHA development, especially in my district, I mean, Mealy's district and your district and all over the city with NYCHA developments, is because they're pushing the people that's really running NYCHA, who should have been here today. Ms. Volva, I think that's her name is, she should have been here today instead of the B team, her representatives. The reason they're not really going to do what they got to do with really weatherproofing and climate controlling NYCHA developments right now is because they push it for RAD impact. What they want to do is push the people who's currently in there right now, which are really the undesirables. I mean, that's what they really call people that's paying the money that they don't want them to pay. They want them out those units and get those YIMBYs and the people that were pushing for the city yes into those units. Once those people are out into hotels, like what's going on in Fulton Chelsea, and shout out to people that's fighting Fulton Chelsea, they going to start doing what they really want to be doing and making the NYCHA developments look like Stuytown. If people got to start looking up Stuytown and Two Trees and start, not Two Trees, Two Bridges, and start understand that what they want to do with the NYCHA development, especially Fulton Chelsea, is to make them look like Stuytown and Two Bridges. And let's make this clear. I think people start fighting this more that NYCHA should be public. It should always be public. It should never be private. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We'll now move on. She's here. We'll now move on to Francine Cutler. You may begin your testimony.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ms. Cutler.
Somebody else. Hold on. Somebody else is with me in the car. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Just please bear with me because I was driving. I have been on the call since 9:58 a.m. So good morning, everyone. Hope all is well. I would like to thank you again for this hearing, council member. I understand that we have a time limit, each person, and I will respect that. I'm going to talk a little fast, but I ask you guys for the grace to allow me an extra few minutes, as I'm not speaking just for myself. I'm speaking for the residents in Boulevard Together houses, who either cannot make it or have decided that they are not going to waste their oxygen or their breaths on this anymore because their complaints are being on deaf ears. You guys can still hear me, correct?
Correct.
Okay, appreciate you. So one thing I just wanted, wish I could have spoke while NYCHA was still sitting there, but I wanted to know what was the difference between NYCHA and RADPAC. If we still don't have the dependable heat and hot water that we didn't have when NYCHA owned the property, was responsible for these repairs, right? We've been given heaters that are told are fire hazards and can't have it in our homes after being given to us. Sorry about that, guys. I have to get on my son, my 16-year-old son, in the morning because he refuses to bathe in cold water before he goes to school. He refuses to boil water due to whatever reason. I have to literally argue with my son to drag him out the house. Now, he can't bathe in a neighbor's house. He cannot bathe in a family member's home. He's 16 and never spent the night out in anyone's home. So why would I send him out there to bathe? I had surgery on Saturday last week, and having to be without no hot water for 3 days after having surgery is unacceptable. I had to reach out to, I also have reached out to many people in an email thread. I will not call out anyone's name because they're not here to represent themselves. Hundreds of emails I have regarding the heat and hot water, heat, hot water issues and other issues that I'm not going to address today because I heard that this was only for heat and hot water. One of the NYCHA's representatives has stated that fixing the heat is, I heard one of the NYCHA representatives state that they are fixing the heating outages less than 24 hours. Does that include the hot water? Because that was 3 days that I was without it. No one sends us robocalls ever or notices. If notices are being put up in our buildings, they're being put up after the fact of the matter. But again, when it comes to heat and hot water, I've never received a notice, whether it's like the gentleman said, something that is an emergency or something that they know is going to be an outage. So that is false. 12 hours, this gentleman, I hope he's still in the audience from NYCHA, because 12 hours is too long. How would you like if your sick family member
Your time has expired.
Excuse me?
Your time have expired. Thank you.
I would like the opportunity to continue speaking, council member. I've been on here since 9:58 a.m.
Ms. Cutler, you have another minute to wrap it up.
12 hours is too long. How would they like if their sick family member, senior family member with illnesses affected by the cold, and child with asthma or anyone in good health has to live with no hot water or heat for even 2 hours, especially those who know that our buildings have cold in the walls. So imagine if it's cold outside, it's colder in our homes. You stated the boiler's a system over 50 years old, and I've lived in this building for over 16 years under NYCHA and 3 years under RADPAC, and the same flavor of the cake, different party. Let me say, when they do put it on, it's so hot, I get condensation stains all over my apartment, but I've learned that when you complain it's too hot, they shut it down for days. So I don't complain, I open my windows and I run the air conditioner. By the way, they mentioned that more than once about the robocalls and notices. Absolutely not true. Do they actually go out and check when we do get notices? It's dated days before we get them, and times dated December 14th. We get them on the 15th, the work of the same day or next day. Management even knows this. And when we get our hot water, and I hate the fact that I have to be rushed to do this. I think it's unfair to the people that I'm slurring my words right now. But let me finish up before I get cut off again. When we get hot water, we get lukewarm water. I would move to Puerto Rico if that's what I wanted. But the water and the pipes are no good. They actually need to come in the homes and experience what we're experiencing. Lastly, council member, they have refixed my apartment, remodeled my entire apartment. My bathroom walls started falling down. Everyone knows about this. They came and fixed it finally 2 years in August. 9 days later, the cracking and the entire wall started falling down again. Council member, they made me move all my furniture the day before. They made me remove a lot of stuff in my house the day before Thanksgiving, when I was preparing for a surgery the next week, so they can do emergency HUD repairs so that we can pass inspections. I gave them the courtesy. I allowed them my apartment to make a mess. Council member, it's been less than 14 days. My bathroom already ceiling is starting to fall apart. And guess what? I failed the HUD inspection because of their slack. I have way more to say, but unfortunately, I do not have the opportunity to defend myself or the residents of Boulevard Houses during this call. I will hope that we can have another meeting like this in the future so that I can be able to actually say everything I need to say. I appreciate your time.
Just one quick question, Francine. And thank you for your advocacy again. And just want to clarify that this is a RADPAC development, right?
Yes, council member.
Thank you much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're gonna close this meeting out. We thank everybody for their testimony today. Again, this is our journey to provide the proper oversight over NYCHA. And again, thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.